Hey guys, it's Mo from Mo in the Deep End. Nick will be joining us when he can, and we will be doing we will kind of be speed running through day one. I have it at 1.25, but if that is too fast for anyone, let me know and we will slow down. This is Florida. Quick recap: this is lead detective Sharp. He was the lead detective in this case. This case is about Timothy Ferder. It was supposed to originally be connected to his wife. They adopted their son, Ronan, who now goes by from Vietnam. They had, I believe, 2 children they adopted first, Fiona and Ty. One from Fiona, I believe, was from China, and Ty was from Vietnam. And then they went on to have several biological children. I believe they have 5 children. I could be wrong though, so don't quote me on that. I have some of my sticky notes, but uh, Ty, they claim, had increasing behavioral problems, so they needed to build a separate structure away from their family when they lived in Arizona because he would wander at night. He was becoming increasingly aggressive, according to them, and they feared for their other children and the community. So they locked him in, put a Ring doorbell camera in there, and they claim that he was not always locked into these structures. So when they moved to Florida, instead of finding a house that would have maybe a mother-in-law suite or something like that, they simply started building one of these structures in the garage of the house that they found in wherever they were. Now, Ronan or Ty ran away, and that's how the police found out about this structure. And they are being charged with false imprisonment, child neglect, and child abuse. Now, the defense is saying that these parents were at their wits' end with a problem child who was increasingly erratic and possibly dangerous, and they had no idea what to do. Good morning, little peanut. I am doing much better, thank you. I am. There will be a story time plus newsy news stream tonight, so it will be a little bit longer, but we will be talking. It will be a mofessional story time. So it will be all the stuff, but we will be talking. It will be good. Oh, Gigi, don't go, but have a wonderful day. Stay safe and have good luck on whatever you are doing today. I absolutely love Seven, and I shouldn't because I watch it every time and I hope that he doesn't do what he does at the end, which is odd. I always watch it and I'm like, no, Brad Pitt, don't be the monster, which is weird because I'm a weirdo. Um, but that is the angle that the defense is playing. The defense, I will say this for the defense, they are coming in hot and vigorous for their client. The client was offered, Timothy was offered a sweetheart plea deal for what he is facing. He was offered 2 years in prison, 5 years probation. If he is charged with everything that he is facing now, he is well, I had to pull over the you know, OnlyFans cop lingo from Mornings with Mo. Fry is dead asleep, so I figured I'd let him not be. Oh, I'm so sorry, Gigi. I hope you can feel a little bit better and get some rest and relaxation. I know it's so hard when you don't want to rest and relaxate. Believe me, I know that feeling very, very well. So send good vibes and positive feelings and thoughts and prayers to Gigi so she can get some rest and comfort today. Seem to be spreading around all of the cooties and germs. It is that season, unfortunately. I have bought all the orange juice, all the nasal decongestant, all the Lysol, not name brand, of course, but we have great value everything around here. So that's kind of where we are. The state is alleging this is child abuse. I hate to be on the state side on this, but there are facilities if your child is showing true and distinct patterns of violent, maladaptive behaviors. Uh, I know that it can be difficult, but I know there are facilities, there is inpatient care, there are places and things you can do other than, build a box cell for your child. And, according to Sal, all of the behavior patterns that the son has thus far shown are things that he may or may not have allegedly thought he might could have done in high school. So, some of the things, not all of the things, but some of the things are things that he might have done in high school. Or at least things that, yes, he was. He it sounds like in this kid's defense, it sounds like he was very, very smart. It sounds like he's very smart, but he was acting out for negative attention. It sounds like he was trying to be, for lack of a better word, a shit poster, a spicy boy on the internet in real life. So he was asking, outrageous questions at school. He was hacking into school computers and erasing their databases. All terrible things that would be terribly hard and difficult to parent. I am not denying that. Seriously smart, again, probably hopelessly bored with school and things like that. So, difficult child to parent. I'm not at all denying that. But, as a mom with a semi-feral, no, youngest, there are ways to channel smartness and deviousness and, possible Sith tendencies without resorting to a structure with a lock on the outside and ring doorbells. So, that's where we are. Now he's this lead detective where we left off, he is explaining the structure. Now, before he went into the structure, the mom was very leery of letting him in the house when the son was still missing, and she, allegedly removed, the bucket that the child was forced to use in the middle of the night because the structure did not have a bathroom, utilized for a restroom, and then she also, I think, moved things around to make it appear more like a bedroom instead of a cell, allegedly. So we will continue where we left off.
And there was also a small desk, a little bit smaller than this, that appeared to have some children's books on them. So I stood
because
inside
it's
the room
1.25. We've still got
looked around for clues as
kind of a
to,
chunk
where he may have gone
of day
et
one.
cetera.
So this might go into the
You were
weekend.
motioning kind of like the length of what the witness stand was.
Yes.
Now, how long were you in that room for?
I was in the room less than a minute. I was inside the residence 5 minutes.
Now, after you finished viewing the room,
Albert.
where did you go next?
After I first walked into the room, I recalled that I could see something out of the corner of my eye, but I wasn't sure exactly what it was. So
This
when I
child
walked back out
is
of the room, I asked Mrs. Fairder if I could go back in
the
the room.
next
She
Elon
allowed me to go
Musk,
back in. And
unfortunately.
when I went back in, that was when I saw the Ring camera that was in the corner of the room.
Now, after you saw that Ring camera, what was your next step in the investigation?
The next step, we were directed outside of the residence. I spoke to Mrs. Fairder for several minutes outside of the residence, and then I directed other units that were working that evening to check in the area of some of the previous places that Mrs. Fairder advised her son may have gone. So I know I checked the skate park. I directed other officers to check other parks and other areas that were within the surrounding area of where the residence was.
Now, I'm going to turn your attention to January 31st of 2022.
Sal.
Were you working that day?
That day I was.
And again, what was your role that day?
That day I was a detective, and my role was to continue the investigation in regards to the missing juvenile.
Did you become aware that the missing juvenile had been found?
That morning, I was made aware that the juvenile was located at the Independence Middle School.
And where did you respond to?
I responded to Independence Middle School.
Subsequent to that, did you meet with the juvenile?
I did.
And where did you meet with him?
So the juvenile, I met with him initially on scene, and then he was brought back to the Jupiter Police Department so I can conduct my initial fact-finding interview with him.
Okay. And you said fact-finding. What is that?
Just an initial interview, just to find out exactly what I'm dealing with, exactly what the facts of the case may be, and find out exactly if there are any allegations of criminal behavior, et cetera.
How was he acting when you met with him at the police department?
He was very soft-spoken, very timid, and shy, and appeared to be withdrawn, and was very nervous.
Did you eventually get a statement from him that day?
I did.
Now, turning your attention to February 1st of 2022, again, were you working that day?
I was.
And did you make contact with the siblings in the case?
I did.
Okay, and who are they?
I made contact with both daughters. Ferder, I apologize for misstating her name.
And did you take them anywhere?
Yes, they were brought to the Child Protection Team office in West Palm Beach.
And what is the Child Protection Team office?
The Child Protection Team is an office that's holds forensic interviewers, and they do our forensic interviews for our cases. So a more detailed interview than my initial fact-finding interview that took place.
So both were interviewed there.
That's correct.
And subsequent to that, on February 4th of 2022, was interviewed there as well.
Yes, he was.
Now, after all of these interviews were done, what did you do as part of your investigation?
As part of my investigation, I served a search warrant, and I served and executed a search warrant on Ring, which was the camera that was inside of the room. And I began perusing the surveillance videos that were obtained through that.
So I know you kind of are describing the camera, but what is specifically Ring?
Sure. So ring.com, I'm not sure if you're familiar with, but Ring is a service that provides video doorbells. They also provide surveillance equipment and other things. And they are a cloud-based storage server. So anytime a video or anything is recorded through their service, it's uploaded and stored on their cloud server.
So you went ahead and executed that warrant for Ring.
That's correct.
And what did you get back from Ring?
Several thousands of videos, surveillance videos.
How many videos would you say there were?
Approximately 21,000.
And did you review each of those videos?
I reviewed a majority of those videos. I reviewed all of the videos in relation to the enclosure in reference to this case.
So when you say you reviewed the videos to the enclosure, were there other Ring cameras around the house?
That's correct.
Where were they?
There was, I believe, a front door camera, and I believe there was also another camera that captured an area in the backyard.
Besides the Ring search warrant, were there any other search warrants executed?
Yes.
What were those?
On February 8th, we executed a search warrant on the residence.
Your Honor, the opposing counsel is confusing warrants as State Exhibit 1.
Mark, can you make sure the microphone, the hand mic is at the podium so they can use it? Just cut it off until they're ready to use it.
Holy God, do they have a lapel mic? Is she handing her a lapel mic? Could we have an MFing lapel mic?
And
Did she
but first, I
not?
want you to restate what you did. You were walking away, and I want to remind all counsel, you are being recorded, so you've got to be close to a mic. I'll even give you the portable mic that you can carry with you. Make sure you have a microphone with you, or you're at the microphones when you're speaking. So restate what you just said, because I didn't hear you, and I doubt it got picked up on recording.
On the record, I was asking Your Honor if I could approach the defense counsel to show them States Exhibit 1A through C.
1A through T,
C.
C is in Charlie. Okay,
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
you may.
I had just had hope. Little Peanut, I just had hope, and I was going to be excited.
Been marked as States Exhibit 1A through C. If you want to just go over those.
Thank you.
Dang it.
Sure. Okay.
And do you recognize those?
I do.
How do you recognize those?
These were our photos that were taken by my crime scene investigator that I directed to take.
And are they a fair and accurate depiction of what the house looked like on February 8th, 2022, when the search warrant was executed?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would enter into evidence States Exhibit 1A through C.
Any objection? No. All right, so the court receives and accepts States Exhibits 1A through C as in Charlie in evidence without objection.
Now, you stated on direct that you had your crime scene investigator take pictures.
That's correct.
Okay. You don't take the pictures yourself?
I do not.
And why not?
I'm not trained in taking photographs forensically, and our crime scene investigators take hours of training in regards to taking photographs, documenting crime scenes, etc.
Your Honor, at this time, permission to publish 1AC.
Granted. Okay, you're not using an Elmo? How are you doing it? Okay, all right, that'll be fine. Yes, it needs to be moved up. And right about there, I don't want you to obscure my view of the defense table. Okay. All right, and so members of the jury, if we need to move it closer, I obviously will move it as close as it needs to be for you to be able to see it clearly. But if you're able to see it clearly where it is, that's fine. But if you're not, give me the thumbs up or thumbs down and we'll move it closer. Okay, good enough. All right, we'll leave it where it is then.
So for the record, I am showing states 1C. What is this a picture of?
That is a picture of the open front door of the Ferreter residence.
And when you were speaking earlier about when you spoke to Ms. Ferreter, is that where you had been standing?
That's correct.
I'm now showing you 1A. And what is this a picture of?
That is a photo of the overall residence of the Ferreters.
Okay, and if we could go to 1B. What is this a picture of?
That is a picture of the exterior door from the garage to the exterior of the residence.
Now, when you first
Nick's course is running a little late, so he is running behind just a little bit. That is okay. Now, when he does get here, I do want to ask him about the wife and her lawyer. I'm guessing the blonde is her lawyer. The brunette is the wife back here. The cases were severed, and I'll have to dig into why they were severed. I think it's because the wife said something kind of contradictory to the husband in police interviews. I'm not quite sure. But how it is that she can be in his
walk
trial.
into the house, where do you go?
The foyer, it's like an open area that leads.
It's
not
a
really
foyer,
hallway, but there's
not a
small wall, and then
foyer.
to the right, there's a bedroom. So in the first foyer.
Sir,
Your Honor, at this time, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been previously
Holy
marked as
Mike
sorry.
etiquette.
You are. States 2AB,
2A through D or E?
A through B.
B, okay.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been previously marked as State Exhibit 2AB for identification purposes. You can look at them. Do you recognize this?
I do.
And how do you recognize it?
Again, this is a photograph of the foyer of the Ferreter residence, and it was taken at my direction, and is also in the area that I was standing and was brought into that first day.
Is it a fair
If
and
you
accurate
put on
depiction
airs,
of
it's a
where you had gone on
foyer.
February 8th, 2022 in the residence?
If you're from the
Yes,
Midwest,
it
it's a
doesn't look
foyer
exactly the same, but it is a fair and accurate depiction of the residence.
Okay, Your Honor, at this
or
time,
front
I'm showing
room.
State Exhibit 2AB.
Any objection?
February 8th of 2022, when they executed the search warrant.
Why did they put the cute reporter in the back area now?
Any objection? All right, so court receives and accepts states exhibits 2A through B as in Bravo in evidence without objection.
And Your Honor, at this time, may the state publish?
Granted.
And just for the record, it is photos of the entrance of the house.
The reporter in the background looks like my youngest son trying to get away with something like.
For the record, it is State Exhibit 2A. What is this?
That is the photo you just showed me of the foyer of the Ferreter residence.
Okay. And you stated that although this was how you saw it on February 8th of 2022, you said it was different.
That's correct.
How was it different?
So on January 30th, the first day that I was there, that credenza did not have those photos placed on it. Neither was that sign with whatever phrase that is. That wasn't present either.
Now publishing states 2B. And what is this a picture of?
That is just another angle of the same foyer.
Now, when I was asking you questions, you had indicated that there was a bedroom to the right when you first walked in.
That's correct.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been previously marked as States Exhibit 3A through C.
C or D?
C. I'm sorry.
It's my hearing.
Well, she could just say Charlie. She could,
May I approach the
go
witness?
Alpha
may.
Foxtrot on him.
I'm showing you what's been previously marked as State Exhibit 3A through C if you want to look through them and then just look up. Do you recognize those photos?
I do.
How do you recognize them?
Those are photos of the first room, Pierce's room, inside the Ferreter residence that were taken at my direction.
And are these photos accurate depiction of how you saw the room on February 8th, 2022?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would introduce into evidence States Exhibit 3A through C.
Any objection from the defense? No objection. Court receives and accepts states exhibits 3A through C as in Charlie in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
I'm showing you State Exhibit 3A. What is that a picture of?
That is a picture of the youngest Ferreter's room inside the Ferreter residence.
And on January 30th, did you see the bed like that?
No, in that room, there was no bed. There was only a crib and other items for a small child.
Okay. Turning to State's Exhibit C, 3C. And is that the crib that you had indicated?
That's correct.
Your Honor, at this time, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 4A through D.
Thank you.
One with the covers on. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 4A through D. Just go ahead and look at them.
Thank you.
Do you recognize those?
I do.
How do you recognize those?
Those are photographs of the same room, but this time the bed in that bedroom has the sheets removed, and they were photos that I directed our CSI to take.
Are they a fair and accurate depiction of how the room was on February 8th, 2022?
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would enter into evidence State's Exhibit 4A through D.
Any objection?
No.
Court receives and accepts State's Exhibits 4A through D as in Delta in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
I'm showing you State's Exhibit 4A. What is that a picture of?
That is a photograph of the youngest Fairder room, which shows a bed without the sheets and a crib, and as well as some small children's toys.
Why were the sheets taken off?
When I observed the bed in that room, I recognized the sheets from these Ring videos, and I believe that that bed was the same bed that was previously in the room, or I'm sorry, in the enclosure that was inside the garage. So I directed my CSIs to remove the sheets and to photograph the bed.
Okay. Now publishing State's Exhibit 4B. And what is that?
That is a view of the interior of the room from the exterior.
And now publishing 4C.
I mean, did they think that they could fool the
And what is
cops?
that?
That's another photo of inside the room of the mattress and box spring.
Like, no, that bed was
Now
never
publishing
there.
4D.
These are not the droids you're looking for.
What is that?
That is a photo of the same room with the dresser for, as well as the sheets, et cetera, on the floor, and the mattress and box spring, and the crib, as well as some other children's toys.
Did you go to any of the other bedrooms in the house?
I did.
Did you go to any of the other siblings' bedrooms?
I did.
Your Honor, at this time, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 5A through D.
Okay.
Hey, reindeer.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 5A through D. Do you recognize those?
I do.
And how do you recognize them?
Those are photos of one of the siblings' rooms that I directed our CSI to take photos of.
And are they a fair and accurate depiction of how the room looked like on February 8th, 2022?
Yes, they are.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would enter into evidence State's Exhibit 5A through D.
Any objection? Court receives and accepts State's Exhibits 5A through D as in Delta in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
Publishing 5A. What is this a picture of?
That is a photograph of one of the
Um,
daughters of the Fairders.
I will have to look that up. I know they are Shiite
And
Catholic,
publishing,
so
5B. What is that a picture of?
That is another angle of the same room.
5C. What is that?
That appears to be the closet of the same room.
And 5D.
That's another angle of the same room.
Now, after going into that room, did you go anywhere else?
Yes, I went into the other sibling room.
Did you at any point go into a bathroom?
Yes, I did.
Your Honor, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 6.
Okay.
May I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 6. Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
That is a photograph of the bathroom, of the spare bathroom inside the Farader's residence.
Is it a fair and accurate depiction of how the bathroom looked like on February 8th, 2022?
That it is.
Your Honor, this time the state would enter into evidence State's Exhibit 6.
Any objection? Court receives and accepts State's Exhibit 6 in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
Now, what is this a picture of?
That is the same photo you just showed me, which is the bathroom of the spare bedroom, or I'm sorry, the spare bathroom inside of the Farader residence.
Where was it located in the residence?
I believe it was in between the siblings' rooms.
Your Honor, at this time, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 7A through F. May I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 7A through F, if you just want to take a moment to look at it. Do you recognize these photos?
I do.
How do you recognize them?
Those are photos of the other sibling room that I directed my CSI to take.
And are they a fair and accurate depiction of what the room looked like on February 8th, 2022?
That they are.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would enter into evidence State's Exhibit 7A through F.
Any objection? Court receives and accepts State's Exhibit A through F as in Frank in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
It looks like she is supporting
Now
her
publishing State's
husband, as
7A.
far
What
as
is
I
this
can
for?
tell.
That's actually.
So they are
seven.
still married. They walked hand in hand into
C.
the
What is this
courtroom,
picture of?
according
That is a
from
photograph of
according
one of the
to reporting
inside of the
that I can
Farader
find.
residence.
Okay, now publishing State's Exhibit 7B. What is that a picture of?
That is another angle of a bedroom inside the Farader residence.
Now, after going to that bedroom, was there anywhere else in the house that you went?
Yes,
Where did you go?
the master bedroom.
Okay. And I know during our direct examination, you indicated that there was a Florida room.
That's correct.
Did you go there also?
That's correct.
Your Honor, at this time, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 8A through B. May I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm now showing you what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 8A through B. Do you recognize those?
I do.
How do you recognize them?
Those are photographs of the, of the Florida room that I directed my CSI to take.
Is it a fair and accurate depiction of what the Florida room looked like on February 8th, 2022?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would enter into evidence State's Exhibit A through 8AB.
Any objection? Court receives and accepts State's Exhibit 8A through B as in Baker in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
Now showing you 8A. What is that a picture of?
That is a photograph of the Florida room inside the Farader residence.
Now, did you have your CSI take pictures of the garage?
I did.
Your Honor, I'm showing opposing counsel what has been previously marked as State's Exhibit 9. May I approach the witness?
You may.
I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 9. Do you recognize this?
I do.
How do you recognize it?
This is a photograph of the garage from the exterior of the residence with the garage door open that I directed my CSI to take.
Is it a fair and accurate depiction of what the garage looked like on February 8th, 2022?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would introduce into evidence State's Exhibit 9.
Any objection? Court receives and accepts State's Exhibit 9 in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
So you stated this was a photo of the garage
That's correct.
from the exterior.
That's correct.
Okay, and where is that enclosure that you had been speaking about?
If you are looking at that photograph behind the tan shelves, behind those green boxes, you'll see a white wall. Those two white walls that you see there, those are some of the walls of the enclosure.
Now, did your CSI take pictures of inside of the garage?
Yes, she did.
Yeah, I have no
Your Honor, I'm showing
idea.
opposing
I
counsel
think
what's been previously marked as State's
they
Exhibit
didn't think
10A
about
through D.
anything
Okay.
like that. It was possibly the world's dumbest idea. And they're going to pass it off as
May I approach
they
the
were
witness?
just
Yeah.
out of options, but they weren't. Which is
I'm
annoying.
showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 10A through D. You just want to look through them. Do you recognize them?
I do.
And what are these?
These are photographs of the interior of the garage that I directed my CSI to take, which included photographs of an orange Home Depot bucket.
And are they a fair and accurate depiction of what the inside of the garage looked like on February 8th, 2022?
That they are.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would enter into evidence State Exhibit 10A through D.
Any objection? Court receives and accepts State's Exhibit 10A through D as in Delta in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
He
Now publishing State Exhibit 10A.
he was obviously exceptionally
this a picture of?
smart
That
and
is a
needed to be
photograph of
challenged
orange Home
more.
Depot bucket the victim had to use to urinate and defecate in.
Okay, and how do you know that?
That meets the depiction of the Home Depot bucket that was shown inside of the surveillance videos, as well as what was told to me by the victim.
Now publishing 10B. What is this a picture of?
That is another angle of the interior of the garage that shows to the door, which leads to the exterior of the residence, with the enclosure there in view on the right of that photograph.
Now going to 10C. What is this a picture of?
That is a photograph of the shelving units that were inside the garage. As you can see on one of the lower shelving units, that's where the Home Depot bucket was placed when we arrived there on February 8th.
Your Honor, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been previously marked as State's Exhibit 11A through E.
Okay.
Now, the dad's defense is also that he was in Ireland during the time that the child ran away. So while he, in history, had been putting Tyre Ronan into the structure box cell, he wasn't there during this act. So any sort of
May I approach the witness?
subterfuge to try to con the cops was
I'm showing you what's been previously marked
his
as
wife.
State's Exhibit 11A through E. Do you recognize those photos?
I do.
How do you recognize them?
Those are photos of the exterior of the enclosure I directed my CSI to take.
And are they a fair and accurate depiction of what the outside of the enclosure looked like on February 8th, 2022?
That they are.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would enter into evidence State's Exhibit 11A through E.
Any objection? Court receives and accepts State's Exhibits 11A through E as in Epsilon in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
Publishing State's 11A. What is that a picture of?
That is a picture of the exterior of the enclosure inside the garage of the Ferder residence.
And what about for 11B?
That is another photograph of a different angle of the enclosure.
Now, if we can go to 11E.
Ooh.
That's
That's a-
11C. What 11D, what is that a picture of?
That is a photograph of myself holding up the letter C to indicate that that was room C for the search warrant. And that is a photograph of the exterior of the enclosure inside the Ferder garage with the door to the enclosure leaning up against the enclosure.
You also indicated that photos of the room were taken, or
That's
the
correct.
enclosure.
That's correct.
Your Honor, at this time, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been marked as State's Exhibit 12A through C. Permission to approach the witness?
Granted.
I'm showing you what's been marked State's Exhibit 12A through C. Do you recognize those photos?
I do.
How do you recognize them?
Those are photos of the interior of the enclosure that I directed our CSI to take.
Are they a fair and accurate depiction of what the interior of the structure looked like on February 8th, 2022?
That they are.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would introduce into evidence State's Exhibit 12A through C.
Any objection? Court receives and accepts State's Exhibit 12A through C as in Charlie in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
Now, publishing 12A. What is that a picture of?
That's a photo of the interior of the enclosure.
And at that point, there was nothing in it.
That's correct. The only item that was in it was that window air conditioning.
Now, on January 30th of 2022, when you first responded to the house, what was inside that enclosure?
Inside that enclosure on that day was a desk about the size of this witness stand, as well as the box spring and mattress.
And when you're referring to the box spring and mattress, is that the same one that was in the room in the photos?
That's correct.
Overruled.
How did you know that it was the same box spring?
I reviewed the ring surveillance photos. In some of the ring surveillance photos, did not have any sheets on the bed. As you could see in the previous photos that were brought by state, you could see a very pronounced tag that was on the mattress. That tag is the same tag that I saw on the 8th. That was the same tag that I saw in several of the ring surveillance videos. So with those, I believe that that mattress is the same mattress that was inside of that room.
Now, publishing State 11B, what is that a picture of?
That is another angle of that same interior enclosure.
And 11C, or 12C, I apologize.
That is another angle of the interior of the enclosure. This time you can highlight there the door of that enclosure is off and laying against the wall.
On January 30th of 2022, when you first went to the residence, was the door like that?
The door was not like that. The door was on the door frame, hinged and utilized appropriately with the exterior deadbolt lock on the outside.
Your Honor, I'm opposing counsel showing them States Exhibit 13A through C.
I really want to get into his head and wonder
May I approach the
really
witness?
why he did not take the plea deal. I am very,
I'm showing you what's been previously marked as States Exhibit 13A through C.
I don't
Mark
think
those
he's going to
those.
win this. But he might be one of those people that just feels very
You recognize those
deeply in
photos?
his heart
I
he
do.
did
How do you
nothing
recognize them?
wrong.
Those are photos of the door.
I
of the
don't know how
enclosure
you can feel
were
that way,
taken
but
at my direction by the CSI.
Is it a fair and accurate depiction of what the door looked like on February 8th, 2022?
he may.
It is.
Your Honor, this time the state would enter into evidence States Exhibit 13A through C.
Any objection? Court receives and accepts States Exhibits 13A through C as in Charlie in evidence without objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted.
Now publishing 13A. What is this a picture of?
That is a photograph of the exterior of the door, highlighting the deadbolt, which was on the exterior of the enclosure, as well as the regular door knob lock, which is also on the exterior of the room.
What is a deadbolt?
A deadbolt is a locking device that most probably everyone here has at their residence to secure from anyone entering or exiting an enclosure or room.
And that lock was only on the outside of the door, right?
That's correct.
What about on the inside of the door?
On the inside was only the spot where you'd have to put a key, so there was no way for. if that
Yeah,
door was
I
locked for
really
anyone
don't
on the inside
understand
to
why,
exit.
unless he deeply
What
in his
about the
heart
lights?
believes
Did you
that
notice any
he
lights in the enclosure?
Yes.
has done nothing
And
wrong.
what about the light switch?
The light switch was
Some
also on
people
the
are very
exterior
much
of the
like
room.
that.
It was to the left of the door in this photograph.
1 minute, Your Honor.
Granted.
Now, you stated that you had gotten that search warrant from Ring, correct?
That's correct.
And you were able to access all about 21,000 videos?
That's correct.
Okay. And you said that you had reviewed those videos before?
That's correct.
Your Honor, I'm showing opposing counsel what's been previously marked as States Exhibit 14.
Oh, learn mic etiquette, people. Come on. And I know I don't like the angle that the defense is taking, but I am glad that everyone deserves a vigorous defense, even though I don't.
May I approach the witness?
I'm sorry.
May I approach the witness?
May?
She's so bubbly. I know it's
hard because it's a USB, but I'm showing you States Exhibit 14. Did you have a chance to review the Ring videos on that USB?
I did.
Okay. And are they a fair and accurate depiction of when you made contact at the Farrader House on January 30th of 2022?
Yes, they are.
And these were obtained through the Ring search warrant, correct?
That's correct.
Your Honor, at this time, the state would enter into evidence States Exhibit 14.
Any objection?
Your Honor, may be approached.
You can approach.
Okay, I don't know what the problem was with that, but the defense is at least paying attention and objecting where they can, which I do like. Again, I am not a fan of the strategy or they're working with a fact pattern that is, well, they're working with the fact pattern they have. So they're kind of stuck between, well, a rock and a hard place. going to say something else, but I'm going to keep it PG. So, you know, they are where they are. The fact pattern is what it is. So I don't envy them with what they have to say and how they have to argue, but they're trying their best, I guess. I just Women, stop trying to bring the 80s back. I feel like I shouldn't have to
technical
say
issue there.
this.
And just for the record, is State Exhibit 14 entered into evidence?
Yes, Exhibit 14 is entered into evidence over objection.
Permission to publish?
Granted. And let me just be clear on that ruling, Ms. Black. Over objection is to the first two videos on Exhibit 14, without objection is to the third video.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Okay.
Frybert is dead asleep. It
Why
is
don't we mark
raining
it by
outside.
reference to the file number
so-
there, because that's what it's going to show up on the thumb drive. So which one is the video 3?
He's like, you want me to go outside and do what in the rain?
All right, so that's the one that's admitted in evidence without objection. The other two videos on that thumb drive are admitted in evidence over objection. So I think that's clear for the record.
Now the state will be publishing the one ending in 107000. Now, what do you see in that video?
Overruled.
Judge, court recorded can't have defense.
Do we have another? Yeah, we're going to bring you a mic, Mr. Wade, so you can have the assistance of the technology here. I mean, as much as this room is mic'd up, it's a big room, and if you aren't close to a mic, you don't get recorded. That's why I'm kind of anal about it. All right, go ahead, Ms. Black.
Your Honor, could we just replay that,
Yep, go ahead.
publish the first video?
Granted.
I haven't seen the kid's testimony. The kid sounds like he's out of control. He sounds like a terribly difficult kid to parent. I'm
Publishing
not
the exhibit ending in
denying that.
299.
What I am questioning is there are in patient programs, there are different places to go. I guess I question going to making a, freaking cell in your house. I guess that's where I question things. I don't know. I'm not a parent to a child who's going through this. So it's I don't know.
9000.
But I am waiting to hear the kid's testimony. Yeah, I'm sure
Is this the third one?
It's still the second
Still
one.
the second one?
he sounds
Now publishing
yeah.
the last one ending in 55000.
Okay, Mark, can you make sure the volume is muted or turned completely down? Okay, all right, good. We're good to go then.
So without going into what was said, what are you doing in this video?
In that video, Mrs. Fairder was directing me to the books that were placed on top of that desk. She advised that, I'm sorry, there was books that were on top of the desk. I was looking for other writings or anything that could have been from the victim to help me try to find out where he may be, etc.
I totally get it. It's
And now what just happened?
Again, I stated thought I saw a camera in the corner, but I said to myself, is that really a camera in the corner? So if you see it, I come back in and verify that, yes, there is a camera inside of the structure.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Okay, Mr. Wade, you doing the cross?
for the-
All right, you may proceed.
yeah, he's just yeah,
And you may proceed at your convenience.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep up on everything. Good morning, Crime Spies. You got down. Why are you having me pick you up? You're so fat. You are like 170
Good
pounds.
afternoon.
You had said that you
Oh,
had
thank
a myriad
you.
of roles in your journey with JPD, correct?
That's correct.
Including just, regular arrests of crimes that happen on the street, correct?
That's correct.
That would include arrests of juveniles, correct?
That's correct.
And what happens when a juvenile is arrested in Jupiter?
Sustained. Approach. Let me hear your argument on this, Ms. Wade.
Not the mic. Orbert, I understand you're trying to remind everyone that you were the first animal co-host of this stream, not the Muttbert. Oh, stop. Oh, I use them. Oh, I'll have to look at her. I'm trying to keep up with everything and I'm failing spectacularly at most of it. So if I have another thing to look at, that will be awesome. Are you, we're going to do this today. We're going to do this today. I see how you are. Oh, no problem. You are okay. I know trying to do regular like lifing and you are a cuddle whore. You realize this, Thor. And yes, for those of you watching, Thor is indeed back in his original spot being cradled like a daggone baby because he's a freaking ridiculous cat who this is how he generally just lays. Yes. This is how Thor would like to be carried at all times. You are ridiculous, cat. I cannot with you.
All right, everyone may be seated. Where we can have IT do what they need to do, or
Well, I think we just have to my understanding, we're set up. We just
Right.
have to go
Morning,
down
Mimsy.
there and-
once the cross is completed, then, or the redirection completed, then we'll take another break to let you relocate where you need to be. And I am going to remain in this courtroom with the defendant and with the jury.
That's fine. We spoke with IT about it, and my understanding is we're gonna be able to see you on the screen.
Yeah,
and
I'm-
hear you.
yeah.
And so that should be fine, Your Honor.
All right. And the only other thing is that,
Okay, so Reader's Digest version of this case. This couple is deeply Catholic, adopted their first child from China, a girl named Fiona, adopted second child from Vietnam named Ronan. He goes by Ty now. Ronan seems to be very, very intelligent, but also very, very shiplordy, if you want to know the truth. He seems to use his powers for evil and as a Sith Lord instead. So he does a lot of shenanigans, kind of a jerk face, if you really, but a behavioral problem. They go on to have 3 or 4 other biological children. Escalating behavioral problems, they decide the only way they can keep the family and the community safe is to build a structure in their house in Arizona where they can lock it from the outside at night so he doesn't run away, do criminal stuff that they can't stop at night. Build a structure in their home with a lock on the outside. Apparently they just ran out of room, I guess. Flash forward, they are moving to Florida. They decide to buy a house without enough rooms, so they build another one of these structures in the garage at their house in Florida with a Ring camera, deadbolts. It's an 8x8 room in Florida. Their son does more shenanigans, runs away. The cops are involved. They find the structure. This couple is now being charged with false imprisonment, child neglect, and I want to say child abuse. They are claiming that he is just an out of control behavioral problem. They are at their wits' end. They can't figure it out. They have no idea what to do. So you can't, they didn't have the, criminal intent. So you really can't get them for child abuse. This was just, two parents at the end of their rope, so to speak, not criminal intent for child abuse. This father had a plea deal given to him for 2 years prison and 5 years probation. He rejected that. He is now looking at the possibility of 40 years in prison if he's convicted on all things. He and his wife were going to be sentenced together. However, their cases were severed. I believe she said some contradictory statements to the police that were either against him or something like that. Now, she is still supporting him in his case. She's actually in the courtroom, I believe, right now with her lawyer. They walked in holding hands. I don't know. It's a cluster. It's
The
Florida.
video link for Zoom cannot show the minors. So if I cut my video feed off, will they still be able to see me?
I'm beginning to see the wisdom
that
of
may mean
having
I
a
need to
Ring
change my video
doorbell.
input because I'm working off the owl now, but I'll make sure that I do that so that it just shows me.
And just like pursuant to statute with the camera, there just has to be opportunity for the defendant to consult with his attorney, so I don't know if we need to-
Yeah, I was such a nerd in high school. I
We
never
will.
even
I want to
dreamed
make
of
sure that
doing
the
that.
defendant's provided.
Such a goody two shoes and nerd that I wouldn't have even dreamed of doing that. This is happening currently. I am a day behind, so I'm trying to catch up. We are at 1.25 speed. They are currently on day 2. I'm trying to finish up at least the afternoon of day 1 today. So we will be a day behind. This is supposed to take about a week, so we will try to catch up this weekend. But yeah, this is definitely Florida man. They look like they are Shiite Catholic if you listen to Jim Gaffigan. Thank you so much. So, it
With all the due process
it's
rights he is entitled to. So what I will do is I'll look to you, sir, Mr. Farrader, and you can just give me the nod if you need to speak with your attorneys, or if your attorneys want to state on the record after the direct that you wish to speak with your client, let me know, and I'll certainly provide that opportunity for that to occur.
Your Honor, we need to position himself when the testimony-
That will be fine. That will be fine. All right, court will be in recess. I've got 3 o'clock, so we'll be in recess to 3:10.
okay.
On State versus Farrader. Wahid, are you ready to continue with your cross? All right, you may go ahead and bring the jurors in, Mark.
Thanks, you guys. I'm trying my best. This is actually like a dream that I've had to do for a long time. So I love Mr. Mo for giving me a chance to do this. He got me the
All right.
computer and he's teaching me how to use it slowly, but I'm learning and he's teaching me. Slowly but surely, I will learn technology. Yay! Buy all the beers.
All right, everyone may be seated. Mr. Wahid, you may continue with your cross-examination.
Now, I do believe they were setting up because after this witness will be Fiona Farrader. Now, they are using proper names for the children. I guess that they're not using like initials anymore. I was kind of shocked at the beginning in the opening statements when they were using proper names for the children, but I guess in Florida, that's okay. I will have to talk to the defense attorney that I know up here, or more the appellate attorney that I know up here, if this is just a common thing and I haven't been really exposed to this up here because I'm not really, I'm not really a lawyer, you guys. But they are using real names. So, but the children will obviously not be on camera, I don't believe. Unless Florida has just gone full Florida. And again, I will say that the defense has been very proactive and very, um, aggressive. I mean, they are working with the fact patterns they have. I don't agree with the fact patterns they have, but they are working with the fact patterns they have. That is, I will have to get in touch with him. I'm getting my confidence up to reach out to different people
Okay, this TV back on.
and
Um,
ask
So
questions.
Detective, you spoke to shortly after.
Oh, that's awesome.
He came out of the school, correct?
I'm not sure who you're referring to.
Well,
Oh,
the
that
child
would
you
be
know is
great.
who we
Thanks.
started calling as well. So I'm just trying to
Okay.
use the name he wishes to be used now. So
Yeah,
okay,
I'll
all
definitely
right.
do
So
that.
You spoke to him shortly after he was picked up at school, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That might be true. I will have to. I'm learning how to do all the snipping, and
So
I have a
going
goal
to,
each week to learn a
so you
technology.
saw what he looked like, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And it was the same day, probably within an hour of him being picked up from school, correct?
That's correct.
All right. I'm going to show you
That goes on my technology sheet.
a short video clip of that. We can get the TV working. There we go. All right. Go ahead and play that. Okay. Do you recognize that child?
I do.
And who's that?
That is the victim in this case.
That's or Ferreter.
That's correct.
Okay, now this was a bit of a contention between the state and the defense. This is the footage of Ty or Ronan, depending on who you ask, getting caught by getting found by the police at the school. So the judge allowed the defense to play at least the police confronting Ty at the school, but not getting handcuffed, because obviously that would be prejudicial. Now, what the defense, I think, wanted to show was obviously the child getting handcuffed to put forward in the jury's mind, this is a, out of control teen child. So the judge has actually been, I think, very, very, fair, and he thinks through these things. I've actually been very impressed with this judge. He sits here, he thinks about the things, he lets the lawyers, go through the he does somewhere in there. It's in Revelations. And yes, I know there's only one book, but this is the Midwest and we put an S on everything. So it's in that little addendum appendix right at the end.
Okay, and the date of this body worn is 1/31 of 2022, correct?
That's correct.
And is that the day you spoke to him at JPD?
That's correct.
And was he wearing what he's wearing here?
Yes, he was.
So this is what he looked like at that time, correct?
That's correct.
I'm going to move defense one into evidence.
Any objection? All right, court receives and accepts defendant's exhibit 1 in evidence without objection.
All right, defense two.
It's 1 in evidence, and we did mark the prior, so let's keep it sequential. Let's keep it, the first exhibit will be 1 for ID purposes, which was not admitted, and the objection was sustained. So this will be exhibit 2 in evidence without objection. Are you okay with that numbering, Ms. Moran? I don't want to screw your numbering up.
Whatever number you all want to use, I'm good with.
So that way, we keep the original 1 separate, even though it's only ID. All right, so, all right, in any event, 2 comes in evidence.
Your Honor, I just want to make sure that for defective that exhibit 2, that's just that snippet, not the entire.
Correct.
That is correct.
Just that section of the video that you saw. Now, at some point, you and other SWAT officers executed a search warrant on the home of the Ferreters, correct?
That's correct.
That was on February 8th of 22.
That's correct.
And the pictures that we saw on direct were after the execution of the search warrant.
They sent
That's correct.
SWAT
And it
in?
was after the officers had already gone through and looked at everything that they needed to look for, correct?
Oh, Lord, they sent
They were
SWAT in.
executing a
Of
search
course
warrant.
they
So they'd
did.
gone in and looked around the house.
They'd gone in and cleared the residence to make sure that the residence was clear and safe, and made sure that it was okay for me to go and look for evidence that I needed. Yes.
And So, and then it was after that that you then had CSI come in and take the pictures that you just introduced on direct, correct?
That's correct.
I think so. Oh, yeah.
And the officers that you were with, including yourself, were all wearing body worn camera, correct?
That's correct.
And you walked through the house and you could see the layout of the house and all of the rooms exactly as they were at the time where you first got there, correct?
The layout was the same. Yes, that's correct.
And the way it looked is the way it looked when you first walked in on February 8th of 22, correct?
That's correct.
So those body worn cameras would be a true and accurate depiction of what the house looked like, both the layout and the physical objects in the house on February 8th of 22.
That's correct.
And that body worn would be earlier than those
I will have
crime
to
scene
check it
pictures,
out.
correct? In time?
That's correct.
Okay. This time, Judge, I'd move to introduce body worn camera from February 8th, 22, in the execution of the search warrant on the Ferreter home.
Do you have the exhibit?
We do.
All right, so it's what exhibit? Exhibit
It's a
3?
video.
Exhibit 3, right? Okay, all right. Any objection?
Yes, Your Honor, we would object. We approach.
You can approach.
We're all objecting. We all object. It's objectionable. It's an object of objection. So the woman, the brunette right back here is the wife. I believe the blonde, very brassy blonde right here is the her attorney. I am not sure who this woman is. I know there's several reporters. That could be. I will have to, yeah. I noticed he had a Claddagh ring on. It looks like that's a bracelet worn rosary. For the love of all that is. Thor, you are not a parrot. You really, okay, yes, you are apparently a parrot. No, please join me. I love you so much. Come on, stop. You are ridiculous. Oh, he's allowed to just turn around and talk to his wife? Okay. It is Florida. I guess rules, whatever. Don't. If I have to get the squirt bottle of holy water out so he doesn't bark, Thor, I'm going to be mad at you. Good day, Ghostery. Fry. No, no barking. I'll have to ask Nick if the conversations with the spouse are protected. Because that'll be something we definitely need to ask a real legal lawyer, not the, I'm
All right,
on,
ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we're going to take another break. I need to review some video before I have it presented to
I'm
you, if at
only
all.
on day
So that
2
means we're going
of
to
the
take a
Darrell
quick
Brooks
recess for
Born
you,
to Law.
and we'll call you back as soon as I've done what I need to do out here. So don't get too comfortable, but it'll be, I'm told the video is 13 minutes, and I do need to review it prior to making an evidentiary ruling.
Well, so in full disclosure, Mr. Frybert, the little buzz collar that we got him does not seem to be deterring his barking. So
All right,
I
everyone may
got
be
a
seated. All
different
right, so let's
one,
queue up this video for me to review.
and it looks so mean.
Yeah, so Ms. Murad, thank you. Go right, only want you to show me what you're
Decided
intending to play
Try a water
before the
bottle.
jury and what will be admitted into
Give me
evidence.
one sec.
And I think you also need to state clearly on the record which body cam segment it is for which officer so that it's readily identifiable for record purposes.
But I don't actually, I would have to look and see which body worn camera it is. When I was provided it, we don't necessarily get that. I didn't have the evidence.com link. However, this is a body worn camera. I'll put it in the exhibit. It's 2020. I'll figure out a way to identify it. And we're starting this at 420.
Okay. Yeah, just turn it so I can see it.
And Thor likes to get Fry in trouble by just sitting right out of reach and watching
Okay.
and letting
You
it
can hit
bark
play, and
and
this is a
know he's
13-minute segment.
in trouble.
No, it's being played from 420.
It's about 8 minutes, I guess.
So I was advised by someone to try a squirt bottle with water. So I need to mark it as holy water.
We have a search warrant for this residence. Please step out of the hall, do it now. Just go ahead and get on that thing. You're the police department. We have a search warrant for 277, Grant Point North. If you have any present in this residence, please step out with your hands up, do it now. I gave us one. Yep. They want the ball. Yep. You guys have a ball? Yeah, we have a ball. All right, thank you.
So I make a note at 5:19.
Mr. Moe may or may not have banned when the Brooks trial was on. I used to just yell grounds. He also has made it. He also doesn't like it when we are moving something and I just yell pivot. But you know, he's a saint. It's hard to live with me. I'm like, and Daryl Brooks is the reason I have to stop myself before I say sustained. This is why our collective spouses are okay that we found our little community, because they're like, thank God you found some other people that will leave you like leave us alone. Our spouses are like, yes, go find other friends. Mr. Moe was like, you found a group of people that like to watch trials with you? I'm so happy. I never want to hear about Daryl Brooks ever again. No, ever.
Push, get a pull.
Yes. I believe when he said that when he stood up at one point during sentencing and said he was a man of God, I believe I nearly died. I think my soul left my body for a minute. I overgasped. I was so pissed off. Fry, what are you eating? Is that a stick or a floor nugget? Oh, okay, it's a stake. Never mind. Continue.
Coming back to you. Blue. Okay. All right, come on, guys. Sound, you holding? Okay. Please call third one. Please call the second one.
There, that, yeah, there was a reason there was no sage left. I had to sage my entire soul. Listen, when I know I'm going to have a really bad day, sometimes I'll listen to his closing just to get me through the workout. A floor nugget is a term that I've come up with for whatever, like a Cheerio, a gummy bear, whatever. If you like, you move your couch and you find like, fruit snacks, gummy bears, all the assorted snacks that your children have shoved into the couch and under the couch. Those are floor nuggets. That is, so they're floor treasures or floor nuggets, and I just have to make sure that he's not eating any. No, that's just those are poos. Yes, rogue snacks. But I could see how it could be the other thing. I could see how it would be the other thing, though. Oh no. Can't we do a mercy play and call her innocent? Can we all call in like in Survivor? Hey, no, that's my favorite hair clip, you ding dong. Why must you always be... When given a choice between good or bad, good or bad, you choose the bad. No, go get your toy. We don't bite. So as we can see, Fry is not a Pomsky. Say, no, we are not a Pomsky. We are a Mutsky. Okay,
Does that conclude the video?
your toys and I'll throw it.
All right, let me hear a brief argument from the state on your objection again.
There are some portions where, I know that the
Mark,
defendants,
Mike.
did the portion of the 4 minutes, 20 seconds, but up until then, thank you.
That portion should not be shown. Also,
Up to what
as-
portion?
I know they started at 4 minutes and 20 seconds. The beginning 4 minutes and 19 seconds should not be shown. So if they're starting it at 4 minutes and 20 seconds, that's fine. But the fact of the matter is that this is the execution of the search warrant. The detective was not part of the execution of the search warrant. He was present after the fact or even at that time, but he did not himself go into the house until after when the CSI was taking pictures. And the fact that there's weapons drawn, there are officers that have like the protective shield, none of that is relevant to them showing the layout of the house. If they want to show the layout of the house, there may be a different body worn camera to do that.
All right, response, Mr. Roy, and then I'll make a ruling.
Thank you. So I laid foundation with the detective. The detective was there. It's really a question of does this truly and accurately depict the layout of the house?
Yes, but in a way that's not, in a way that's probative and not unduly prejudicial. And that's a concern I have. So I want you to address the prejudice argument, because after seeing the video, I have some concern about prejudice of showing that. And there being much more available means to show the layout of the house without having the potential prejudice of showing guns drawn by law
Yeah.
enforcement on execution of a search warrant.
He was a surrender
So I don't know that I don't know
litter. So it's
who the
I like
prejudice
him
is
as a
to,
Mutsky.
but
He's
the fact
okay.
is that the
But yeah,
layout
a
of the house,
Plumsky,
first
he
of all,
is
this is the
not.
first time to go into the house. It's the best evidence of what that house looked like before any law enforcement touched
He
anything.
says,
Secondly, the pictures that were introduced while of each room
is a
don't actually show
Freisky.
the proximity and the distance. For example, the garage to the kitchen, and it's one short hallway between the two, that where the master bedroom is, where they decided to put the toddler, which is right across from the master bedroom. It also, when you have the video going through the
I'm
house, you get
sorry,
a sense of the size
Baker.
of the house. This is not a 5,000, 6,000 square foot house. This is about a 3,000 square foot house. You also get a sense of the proximity of the children's rooms. They go in and there's one room, bathroom, room. These are all very tight. These are generally small rooms. You get a better sense of that, the size of those rooms.
Mr. Slater, you telling me there are no other body worn cam videos that don't have?
This is kind of sneaky of the defense. I get the point that they're trying to make, that they sent in the SWAT team to, vacate this house so that the sheriff or the detective could go in and get these pictures. And that's a little overkill if you ask me. But yeah, there are definitely other body worn cams that they could use. I understand why the defense is trying to get it in. I understand the defense's angle, but I don't think it's going to fly. I mean, it's a
weapons
nice
drawn
try.
that can achieve the same purpose of showing the layout of the house.
So
Oh, wow.
we looked through to find, so obviously all the officers who are breaching have weapons drawn. So we went
Oh
through
my
for
goodness.
those officers who first go in to see. Now, I think the officer whose body
You are
camera we
going to have a
have shown the court
puppy.
has the least amount
play.
of time where there's a gun in the picture.
It's
As
going
you
to
can
be
see most of the
bluey in
house
real
from that. It's not
life.
blocking the view, which is why that one is selected. And I think every officer upon entry had a gun drawn. So there is not one picture or video of body worn on entry without a gun or a shield.
All right, so I did not hear a question about Officer Ryan, I think it was Colin, whether he had a body worn camera. He was the first one there. He went and observed the structure, the first witness. Are there any other? The very Ryan Colin. He didn't. All right. The first officer that went inside was whom?
He didn't have a body worn.
He did not have a body worn.
The detective sheriff on a prior day. So we didn't have a body worn on that.
All right. So is there any body worn camera that shows the layout of this premises at any point in time at or near the time of the alleged incident?
There were subsequent body worn cams after the breaching where the officers are walking around the house and during the execution of the search warrant, but there's not a walkthrough.
Okay. All right. My ruling is I'm going to sustain the state's objection. I find this, quite frankly, to be unduly prejudicial to both sides. And the prejudice is outweighed by the probative value of merely showing the layout of the premises. It's without prejudice to the defense to use other means, other body worn camera segments to show the layout in a situation that's not nearly as energized as what's shown on this body worn camera here. So if you've got other body worn camera that shows the layout or where the rooms are situated or what's in the rooms where guns are not drawn, I will allow it. But I'm not going to allow the playing of this video before the jury. Let's have this marked as Defense Exhibit 3 for ID, and it'll be part of the record for appellate purposes. All right. Mr. Royd, are you ready to continue with your cross?
I am.
All right. You may go ahead and have the jurors brought back out. Let's go ahead and take that off the screen.
I do like how they have the IT support right there. I mean, this judge runs a really tight ship. They have the IT support right there. They have everything kind of right together, ready to go. It's very, very, put together, and I like that.
All
That's
right,
the
everyone
kind
may be
of
seated. Ms. White, you may continue with your
trial
cross-examination.
I would cover, or I would do.
Detective, on direct examination, you said so you had subpoenaed all of the Ring videos, correct?
That's correct.
And those Ring videos were from January 5th to February 1st of 2022, correct?
Excuse me. I apologize. May I refer to the search warrant?
Yes.
Thank you. And it was a search warrant, not a subpoena. And the date range was from December 28th, 2021 to January 31st, 2022.
Now, this lawyer, I think, came on a little bit later in the case, so he seems a
December
little
28th, 2021 to January 28th, you
discombobulated.
said?
January,
A bit.
December 28th, 2021 to January 31st, 2022.
And in that month and a few days, there were 21,000 different video clips that you obtained, correct?
That's correct.
And you said you reviewed most of them, correct?
That's correct.
And on direct, you said that that the child used that Home Depot bucket to both urinate and defecate.
That's correct.
Which video did you ever see where he defecated in that bucket?
I did not see a video where he defecated in the bucket.
And you're
Okay.
aware that the Fairders had very
Yes.
recently moved into that house, correct?
That's correct.
Somewhere in late December of 2021,
That's correct.
shortly before the Ring camera was set up and where the dates of the videos start. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And in the pictures that you'd introduced on direct, you can see in the master bedroom a picture, a big picture that is still on the ground in the master bedroom. You see boxes in other parts of the house. There's still an effort of moving in happening that you can see evidenced in those pictures, correct?
Overruled, if you know, you can answer.
If you're saying that it appears that they were just moving in, it didn't appear to me that they were just moving in. And the residence, it appeared that the residence had been lived in for some time, especially if you looked in the garage. You can see that there were several items that were there that had been appeared to be stored there for some time. And there was also a subsequent enclosure in which the victim was made to stay in.
So it's your position that they had not recently moved in?
My position is, you stated by those photographs, if I could speculate, if it appeared that they had just moved in. By those photographs, no. By their testimony and what was told to me, I was advised that they had just recently purchased the house, and I was advised that they had just recently moved into the house. Those photographs, to me, it didn't appear that they had just moved in.
When you came to the house on January 30th, that was the first time you came to the house, correct?
That's correct.
And Tim Fairder was not at the house, correct?
That's correct.
And you subsequently learned he wasn't even in the country at the time, correct?
That's correct.
No other questions.
Any redirect?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, you may begin, Mr. Black.
On cross, you were asked about seeing defecating in the Home Depot box?
That's
or
correct.
The bucket? Okay. But you said that you did not see that on video.
That's correct.
That was not on the video in the Jupiter home, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. But he did speak to you about what had happened in Arizona.
That's correct.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Okay, is this witness excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, sir, that concludes your testimony. You may step down. Thank you for being here.
Your Honor, he's still under defense subpoena, should we wish to call it.
Okay, so you're not excused from all further proceedings, but you're excused for purposes of your testimony today.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, for the next witness, we need to set up the technology so that it can be properly presented to you. So it's going to be about a 10-minute process. I'm going to have you retired to the jury room
Yeah,
again. It won't be that long. As soon as we're geared up to present the testimony to you through the technology, then we'll have you right back out here. Would any other testimony received in this courtroom and to consider it for all purposes. Any objection to that from either side? Okay.
Oh, sorry. Hello.
Hi.
So and you're all fancy and smancy too. Well, I am. Sorry. I was trying to look for other things and for love of Cheetos, what have I done? I love when I'm trying to be all on top of things and I end up messing things up. So how it goes.
That's what she
I
said.
s- well, you know, it is the way of the world. But yes, this is so this is the boy in the box case. These parents apparently had a little bit of a problem child. We will get to hear from said problem child, I think, quite shortly. I don't know if he is the first child witness they have or the second, but yes, he apparently did things like deny major European events involving people
Okay.
in class. Let's see, Sal had the list of things that he did because Sal may be in love. Sal may have
Oh.
found his best friend.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Let's see. He may or may not have told just general teachers that he was okay. Sal's favorite thing he did in middle school was he convinced a random teacher that he was with the school board and he watched her teach and critiqued her. She didn't know who he was. He just went into a random classroom. Yeah. So he's very smart. This couple adopted first from China, then from Vietnam. The child in question, the victim, he was basically a shit poster. He was a real live 4channer who was incredibly smart, did all of the things. So he would go into classroom computers and do factory resets. I mean, so yes, he was a difficult child to parent. I'm not going to lie. He would be a nightmare to parent. He was incredibly smart. You know, he did have, it seems like, you know, looking from the outside, looking in, you know, a lot of issues, but not issues to where you would crate train your child. You know, there are these things called therapists and those
there
kind
are
of things.
programs and therapists, and even if they are devoted Catholics, the church has a program
Yeah.
too.
I don't remember the Pope saying anything about, you know, like crate training your children, even the new one.
No, not even a new one.
I mean, I don't remember, but so the father rejected a plea deal for 2 years in prison and 5 years probation. He is now looking at 45 or 40 years if he's convicted on all charges. So
Yeah, they better have a great defense and
The def-
explanations and stuff like that. We
the
only locked him in by night and made him shit in a bucket. And
yeah, the defense is basically, look, we're bad parents, but we didn't have criminal intent.
yeah, that what's going on with my background? I'm melting. I'm melting. I'm melting. I'm melting.
It's close enough to Halloween.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
But-
Halloween. Yeah. You
Well,
know that
I mean,
that emergency SMS and signal they sent out? You heard about
Are we
that?
all turning into
Hmm?
are we all turning into zombies yet? Because I was kind of hoping for it, but then I realized we already all were. So
Yeah. But that is a wasted moment. Imagine it being sent out October 30th or 31st, just around
I know.
Halloween. That would have been hilarious for all these. Now you have anti-vaxxers and then you have anti-lunatics. I mean, yeah. Those.
I was just hoping that the purge was going to be real. I was like, okay, you know, make the purge real. We already have an uptick in crime. Just let everyone get it out of their system. And
Yeah. Yeah. Just
I
don't
know
get
my
just don't get inspired by your feral one. And
oh, well, it was funny because I guess a bunch of kids had snuck devices into their school when they weren't supposed to. And so they all got caught yesterday.
all right.
And I was like, oh, children, you're
Mm.
hilarious. But
Yeah.
so this will be the first child witness. I believe it's their first daughter, Fiona, and they're using their names. So I guess Florida doesn't
Well, I think
care.
she is the oldest child. I think she is over 18.
She might be. Because he is now 14, and I think he would have been. I don't know.
I'll
It-
alert you, and then I'll just stop, and you're gonna start.
Okay, so you'll let me know at the appropriate time that the state wishes to have that read. That's fine with the court.
Sequestration, it hasn't been an
No.
issue, but if I can just invoke the rule.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the rule of sequestration has been invoked, and that is a rule of evidence and procedure that says that if there are any prospective witnesses that are in the
True.
courtroom, you must
Oh,
leave and remain outside of the courtroom until you are called as a witness. That's designed so that the witnesses do not get the opportunity to hear any other testimony prior to their own testimony. Once your testimony is concluded, usually the witnesses can remain in the courtroom after that time and view the remaining part of the proceedings. I do rely on counsel to tell me and keep track of the gallery to tell me if there are any witnesses that you intend to call that have come into the courtroom and alert me as quickly as possible so that I can make sure that they're asked to leave. Are there any witnesses that are in the courtroom right now that either side intends to call? All right, has either side seen any witnesses during any of the testimony thus far of people in the courtroom that they would intend to be calling as witnesses in this case?
She does have a list of witness here, but I don't know if she intends to call her, I assume not.
Yeah, I don't intend to at this point, but we can have her step out in advance of caution.
Yeah, I think in an abundance of caution, you should have her step out if she's on the witness list, unless you formally excuse her from the list.
And I just, because there are out-of-state witnesses that have watched some of the proceedings via Zoom, I do want to make that clear that that applies to any of them. I don't
I
know if
advise all my witnesses not to even watch on television.
The rule applies to all witnesses, whether you're in this courtroom or whether you're here virtually through Zoom or whether you're watching through some televised proceeding of this trial. You're not to be viewing the testimony of any witnesses that have testified prior to you. You can be asked that on
Okay, so-
your direct.
The wife and him were supposed to be tried together. The cases were separated, I believe, like days before the case started. She is allowed in the courtroom with her lawyer. Why?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. Well, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Oh,
I didn't know if there was a. Hey, this judge is being better at making them actually grab the daggone. He's been really good about like, get a damned mic.
Mm.
So Nick, I'm going to push play and I'm going to run and let the puppy go
or
out.
cross-examination. So
Yep.
I would tell
I will
all
be right back.
witnesses that are listed or that are expected to testify that if you are on Zoom, you should not be listening to, in fact, you shouldn't even be on Zoom right now while we're in the testimony phase of the case until such time as you've been called. Once your testimony is concluded, then you could log back on and observe the proceedings. Ms. Coakley, how long is it anticipated for you two to do what you have to do in courtroom 10G?
I think it'll probably take us like 10 minutes.
All right, so-
Anticipated.
Anything that I need to address beforehand? All right, so we're going to.
Scheduling-wise, the state is not having other witnesses today.
Okay, so let's shoot for 10 minutes so that we squeeze every bit out of the day that we can today. How long is this witness expected to take?
I think that the full hour should be enough time. for
Okay, all right, so let's definitely try to get it all set up within the 10-minute time period. And then IT is going to set it up here, so you'll give me the thumbs up from courtroom 10G once you're ready, and then I will give the instruction to the jurors prior to the start of that testimony.
This could be like done during the testimony. I'll let you know. This
Okay,
one.
so is Ms. Black going to remain in this courtroom? Okay, all right, good enough. All right, good enough then. All right, so we have all bases covered with council present in the courtroom and the court. Okay, good enough. All right, so Ms. Coakley, you go get set up, and Mr. Wahid, you're going to be in the other courtroom, correct? All right, court will be in recess for 10 minutes, and IT can go ahead and set up my system now.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Nancy, hear me?
That's fine the way it is. I just want to make sure that from a Zoom standpoint, they're only receiving audio at this point.
Yes.
Okay, that's all set up.
On a Zoom as well, so I can-
Okay, so they're receiving audio, not video. This is
So you-
dedicated link to here, so I think we're good to go.
Is that what it sounds from? It's not coming from that TV. They just went through. Sounds like it's coming out.
And Ms. Black, who's the witness that's going to be testifying first? Okay, do we have the clerk there to administer oath, or are we going to do the oath remote?
I'm not sure if he's listening. You try. Your Honor, I don't know if you can hear me. This is Brianna Coakley.
All right, can you hear me fine, Ms. Coakley?
I can hear you fine. We do not have the clerk here. If the clerk was going to come, I was going to ask if she could bring the photographs that were just entered, so I can show them to this
Bride
witness.
is
But if
not
not,
like
it's
the
not a
rain.
major deal.
All right, so that's
Okay, so they're setting up for child testimony.
we're working through the logistics of this. It's kind of tricky having.
Need a second? She's here. We're all settled.
All right, thank you for rushing down there, Dana. Okay, all sides ready to proceed with the next witness. All right,
Yes,
Mark,
Your Honor.
you may go ahead and bring the jurors out.
Good afternoon, atheist and.
Hey, Ms. Black, I'll deal with your exhibit 15 before we start this.
I guess so.
Jury entering.
Okay, I changed the banner.
All right, everyone may be seated. All right, before we begin with the next witness, Ms. Black, you have another exhibit to admit at this time?
Yes, Your Honor, this time is Exhibit 15, which is all of the pictures that were admitted into evidence, exhibits 1 through 13, just on the USB drive.
All right, any objection? All right, so the court receives and accepts State's Exhibit 1515 without objection. All right, thank you, Ms. Black. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the next phase of the proceeding is going to be a testimony presented to you via remote technology. I need to let you know that both sides have agreed in advance to the presentation of the testimony of the next witness in the format that we're presenting it to you. This is live testimony. This individual is in another courtroom, happens to be my main courtroom that they're in and set up for the direct and cross-examination. The thing that's
Right.
important for you is, even though this is being presented to you remotely, you're to view it and consider it and listen to it the same as you would if this young lady was sitting here in the stand, on the witness stand in this particular courtroom, just because of the way it's being presented, it's being done remotely at this point in time. So with that, and again, you're to consider this the same as you would any other testimony and disregard the format in which it's being presented to you. With that, Ms. Coakley, are you ready to call your next witness?
We are, Your Honor. At this time, the state would call the Farrader.
Okay, all right, this time I'm going to have the clerk in courtroom 10G, if you could go ahead and administer the oath to Ms. Farrader.
Raise your hand. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do.
All right, Ms. Coakley, you may begin at your convenience.
Thank you, Your Honor. Could you please tell us how old you are? And what grade are you currently in? Now, tell us a little bit
Ms.
about.
Ms.
how your
Coakley,
family was made.
Ms. Coakley, I have not heard her last two answers. Let's do a mic test on her.
So the judge indicated that you were here, so we're gonna try it. You go ahead and give us how old you are again.
17.
All right, that's better. Okay. All right, and just
Is that
stop it. Just
acceptable, Your Honor?
that is acceptable, but I want to just get a sound check and a video check from the jurors. Video is fine as far as the distance. And if you have any problem with sound, raise your hand so I can alert them as quickly as possible. All right, that's good. Ms. Coakley, you may proceed.
I think you're a little soft spoken, so because we're dealing with these mics, we're just gonna try and you speak as loud as possible, if that's okay. So you said you're 17 years old? Are you nervous about being here today? Is this a topic that you like to talk about? No. Is it kind of embarrassing to be here and have to talk about these things?
Okay,
When you're
Ms.
nervous,
Coakley, Ms. Coakley, I'm going to have your assistance to make sure she does everything she can to project, because she has a very soft voice and it's not coming. If I'm not hearing it, I know my jurors are not hearing it. So as best you can, even if you have to feel like you're
She's a child
shouting, make sure
witness.
you project.
Even though
Okay,
she's
you understand that,
17,
ma'am?
she's still under the age of 18. And I think for anonymity purposes and just both sides stipulated to them having witnesses under the age and child witnesses testify like this. So I think that's just why they are doing this.
Yeah, I understand.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Coakley.
When you are nervous, I noticed you giggled a little bit. Is that a nervous tick that you have?
I get nervous, so I do that a little. Yeah.
Now, we're here to talk, do you know what we're here to talk about, more or less?
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about how your family was made up in January of 2022. So that's right when you moved back to Florida. Who was part of your family at that point?
So my parents, my sister, and my brother.
Okay. What were your parents'
I have
names?
boosted it as high as I can,
And
guys.
tell us about your siblings. What were their names? Okay. Who is the oldest sibling in your family? Okay. Who's second?
All right, Ms. Coakley, they're still having a problem hearing her, so, Mr., I'm gonna,
IT here. She is speaking like very close to the microphone and pretty clearly here. We're gonna see if IT can help us.
all right, so let's see if IT can increase the gain, and I'm gonna ask you to go back to the last two questions, because I think that's where she dropped off. Maybe you can increase the gain on that mic.
I think they probably have a little more grace with kids.
Gunnar, I think he's gonna switch mics for us. And so if you just give us one moment, well. Okay. What if we,
Judge, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Her voice is very soft, though. I'm sure that's part of the problem. All right, I can hear you fine. Hers is
Probably.
the voice we need to test, though.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
All right, say that again.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
All right, as long as you keep that level, I think we can hear you, but don't let your voice drop off. You ever been on the
Use
sidelines
your
watching a sports event
diaphragm.
and yelling?
I-
Don't be afraid to do that here, so go ahead.
I know, project.
I think you were telling us about the makeup of your family in December of 2022. I asked you, you said you lived with your two parents. What were their names?
Timothy and Tracy.
Okay. And you said that you lived with 3 siblings. Tell me the 3 siblings' names. And you said that you were the oldest sibling. What's the next sibling in the age order?
That would be
And then who comes next? And then who's the last? How close in age are you to approximately?
2 years,
Okay, so you're 2 years older.
roughly.
Okay, so you're 17 now, almost 18.
Correct.
And so that he's about 15, just turning 16 approximately.
16 this year.
Yeah, he just turned 16.
Yes.
And how far away is between men and in age? If you don't know, that's okay.
I'm not entirely sure.
Are you guys kind of relatively close in age?
Yeah, we're all relatively close.
Within a year or two of each other?
Correct.
Were you close in grades in school?
Correct. Yes.
And how about, is he close in age?
No.
Okay, how old is he now? Approximately.
I want to guess 4.
Okay, so he's kind of, through much of this, was a smaller baby or a toddler.
Yes.
Okay, while you and your sister Noah and Rose were much closer in age.
Yes, you were.
Were you originally born in the United States?
No,
Where were you born?
I was born in China.
Okay, how did you end up coming to the United States?
I was adopted.
She does sound much
Who were you
younger.
adopted by?
Tracy.
Do you know how old you were when you were adopted?
No.
Were you a baby or a toddler?
I could walk sort of, so maybe in between.
So a little though.
Yes.
Now, do you know whether or not your brother was born in the United States?
Yes. No, he wasn't born.
Okay. Do you know where he was born?
Vietnam?
Okay. Was he also adopted?
Yes.
What about Noah? Was she adopted?
No.
And he adopted?
No.
Now, you said that in January in 2022, everyone lived together. And where did you live? What city did you live in?
He lived in Jupiter.
Is that in Palm Beach County?
Yes.
Now, growing up in the time that you were living in Jupiter, maybe one before, who was kind of the rule maker for your parents?
Timothy, my dad?
Was Tracy involved in enforcing the rules or making the rules?
She helped support the rules.
Okay, but who was the one that dictated what the rules and what you had to follow?
Tim?
If you had a dispute or disagreement about a rule or whether or not it was fair, is that something that you could talk about with Tim?
No,
Okay, and why is that?
because he would reason us out of it, or I just wouldn't be able to say anything.
Was he the disciplinarian in the house?
Yes.
Now, I want to talk about, you said in January of 2022, you guys lived in Florida. When did you come to Florida?
We moved roughly in December. Let's see. I'm sorry, the years are a little confusing.
So I think we said January of 2022 was when you were with your family, when you guys lived together as a family.
Correct.
Did you move that December right before?
Yeah, the December previous.
Okay, so that would have been December of 2021.
Correct.
So the time frame that we're talking about, is that like 5 or 6 weeks
Roughly.
that you lived in that house in Jupiter?
Yes.
Okay. And you moved to Florida. Where did you move from?
We moved from Arizona.
How long had you been in Arizona at that point?
Approximately 5 years.
Prior to Arizona, where did you live?
Florida.
So this was your second time coming back to Jupiter, Florida?
Yeah.
When you lived in Florida before, was that like elementary school age, much younger?
Yes. Up until 5th grade.
Now, when you moved back to Jupiter, what neighborhood did you move into?
When we moved back,
Yeah, in
Ebert Landing.
what type of house was that?
It was a small one-story house.
Okay, single family home?
Correct.
How many bedrooms did it have?
3.
Who had the bedroom?
So the master bedroom were Tim and Tracy, and I each had our own bedroom. And then, yeah, I guess if you want one in the garage of the bedroom, then that's where had his bedroom in the office. They made that into his own room.
Okay, and you said that I wanted to count something in the garage. What do you mean by that? What was in the garage?
They had a room built for Robin.
Who had it built?
My parents.
Okay, so Tim and Tracy had that room specifically built into the garage.
Correct.
Is that room already there by the time you moved?
I don't remember.
But was it there at the very least shortly
I
thereafter?
saw it at least.
And when we say that it's in the garage, was everyone else's room in the main house?
Correct. Yes.
And was the only one that had to stay in the garage?
Yes.
Now, I want to show you what has already been marked as evidence and shown to the jury. There's some pictures of your home, okay? And so I want to see if you recognize any of them. You mentioned that you had a bedroom. I'm showing you what's been pre-marked as evidence as state 7A and F. Just take a look at it and tell me if you recognize whose room that is.
Yeah, that's my room.
Okay. And now I'm going to show you what's been marked as evidence as states 5A through D. It's another bedroom.
Hello,
Whose bedroom is that?
Dave?
That would be.
I have no
And then
idea
I'm going to show
who the dark
you
person is.
what's been marked
Or
as
dark-haired person
evidence
is.
as
I think that might be someone
4A
for court
through
TV.
D. You might need to flip
Because
of
I know
one
the
of
lady in the
close-ups.
green
It's
is
fine to do
for
that. Do you recognize
law
what
and
room
crime,
that is?
maybe?
Yeah, so this one's.
And we see some mattresses on the floor there. Is that how it was when
Oh.
you lived there?
That's the wife.
Were there mattresses on the floor in this room, or was there just a crib in there?
There was a lot of things in there. I can't remember specifically.
Is that a place where they slept?
No.
Okay, so just slept in there by himself?
Yes.
Now I'm going to show you what's been marked as evidence of state 6. Tell me what that shows.
Bathroom.
And I'm going to show you what's been marked as evidence of state 9. What does that show us, a picture of?
That's the garage.
And in state 9, you said that there was a structure built that your parents specifically built in the garage. Can you see it in that picture?
Yes, it's behind the racks.
Okay, is that white building?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk about that white structure that's in the
Yeah,
garage.
that little white box in it.
Let's talk about it. Did that have any windows?
No.
Did it have a lock from the outside?
Yes.
Did it have any access from in the garage to a bathroom?
No.
And did it have lights inside of it?
I can't remember.
Now, is that the room that Ian slept in?
Yes.
Is that room, other than just sleeping time, did he spend time or was he put in that room?
Yes.
Was allowed to be in the house, by himself?
No,
Was he allowed to walk freely through the house?
no,
Was he, allowed to do something like watch TV in the living room?
not alone.
Were you allowed to do that?
Yes,
Was your sister allowed to do that?
yes,
What about snacks? Was
Yes,
there
this would be,
food
this is a
freely
criminal case.
available?
So Dave, basically what we're specifically asking is they were supposed to be, this particular couple was supposed to be charged together. Days before the case went to trial, the cases were severed. Now, the wife and her attorney, I believe, are sitting in on this trial. Now, I figured it was something along the lines of the Lori Daybell, Chad Daybell kind of case where the lawyer for Chad Daybell was allowed to, excuse me, sit in on the Lori Daybell trial because he's gathering notes for the trial. But I don't know if there's like actual legally law keeping her out. So if they were technically supposed to be in the same case together, and then she is actually charged with the same things as him, would it generally, is it practice that she shouldn't be in the courtroom with him? Or in the courtroom, I don't know. But as a not lawyer, I mean, they're letting her do it. So Dave says it's a public hearing, so anyone's allowed to sit in unless you're a specific witness on this case. And the court is concerned that your testimony will be influenced by the other testimony. So they did just go over that. They invoked the rule of sequestration. So all witnesses, including Zoom witnesses, had to be mindful of getting out of the Zoom thing and out of the courtroom. So, well, there you go. So it doesn't matter. It's a separate case. So there you go. And the mom will be going to trial later on this year. So we have a lawyerly lawyer answer.
Bolter in the kitchen?
no,
Would he be allowed to go and take a snack out of the fridge?
no.
What about get a drink of water if he was thirsty? Is that something he would be allowed to do?
Maybe water if someone watched him.
Only if someone watched him. And only if he's out of the room.
Yes,
Were you allowed to take a snack if you were hungry?
yes,
Was your sister allowed to get a snack if you were hungry?
yes,
Were there times that you would receive special treats, like, desserts or snacks?
correct.
What would happen in those instances? Would they be shared with all of your siblings?
There were usually rewards, and usually when I received them, it wasn't often that I was received.
Okay, are there some times that once in a while he would receive a reward?
Very rare.
But were there times where you and were getting the reward and it was not included in
Yes.
having special treats or snacks?
Yes.
Are there times through the, in this household growing up, were you someone who was observant of how your parents treated your other siblings?
Yes,
Did you watch and listen to things that were happening
yes,
throughout your childhood?
I did.
Are you an observant person?
I would consider myself to be.
Did you ever see Ty get punished?
Yes,
Was the type of punishment that Tom got the same type of punishment that you or no would get for the same type of conduct?
no.
How was it different?
It was either more extreme or something completely different than what we received.
Were you ever locked in your room or prevented from leaving?
No,
Did you ever have to go to the bathroom only in a bucket?
no,
Were you ever required to be alone in your room in the dark?
no,
Were you allowed to have phones?
yes,
Were you allowed to play games on your devices?
yes,
Was Ty allowed to play games?
no, not unsupervised.
Was he allowed to have a device?
No,
Now, you said that you saw through your time in Florida get punished. Did you ever see him get punished for little things?
Yes,
Like what?
for me, it'd be just not answering questions. Maybe he plays a little too rough with one of us, or he talks back.
When you say he wasn't answering questions, what do you mean?
Let's say he did something wrong and they asked him about it. He wouldn't say anything. He just wouldn't answer them.
And what would be the response to that?
If he didn't answer them to a certain point, he'd be sent to his room. Or he did answer, he'd still be sent to his room.
And when he's sent to his room, is he then allowed to leave?
No,
Is he locked in there?
yes, he did leave. I don't know if he's locked all the time, but I know he wouldn't want to leave.
Did you see both Tim and Tracy force him into the room? Make him go into the room?
I've heard both of them tell him to leave.
And did you see both Tim and Tracy involved in the punishment and discipline?
Can you be more specific?
Or there's something that one person did or the other person did, but were they both?
They were both involved in the punishment.
Now, over time, growing up with your brother, did you notice him become less communicative?
Yes, they shut down.
Okay. Did you notice him over time, especially toward the end, become more withdrawn?
Yes,
Did he smile less?
yes,
And that's something you noticed kind of as his sibling?
yes.
Now, I want to talk about specifically right now the time in Florida. What was your observation about kind of how often he was in the room?
How often he was in the room?
Yeah, did you see him around the house very often?
Not inside the house.
No. Where would you see
More
him?
outside.
Okay, tell me about that. What would he be doing outside?
Yard work, moving the outdoor furniture.
So when he's outside, is it like that he has the opportunity to freely play?
No, it's not. It's not for entertainment.
Okay, what kind of yard work is he doing?
At the time we were moving in, so it was mostly moving supplies outside the house.
Okay, was there some yard work or landscaping involving shelves that he was required to do?
Yes.
Is that something that you were required to do?
No.
And did you see him doing that?
Yes, I did see moving the shelf.
And you said that you would observe him outside. When he was told to go outside, did he have the free option of coming back into the house?
No.
How would that work?
So if he was put outside, one of them would know that he's outside. One of my parents would know he's outside, and then if he got done with work, he'd come and wait for them to let him back.
Okay, would he be allowed to just come back in?
Not unless someone was watching him.
Okay. And are there times when he would be locked out of being allowed back in the house?
Yes.
And then when he was let back in, would he then be able to relax around the house, or what would happen?
Not really. He'd either go to his room or just go somewhere to be monitored.
Okay. Now, in your house, did you eat meals with him regularly?
No.
Where would he be while you would be eating?
Most likely in his room.
And what about when you would get home from school? Would he be with you doing homework in the kitchen or the living room?
No, he did most of his homework in his room. I didn't see him very often.
You didn't see him very often out in around the house.
Around the house.
Okay, so when you saw him, when he was home and you were home, it's for the most part, was he one of two places?
Yes.
And what are those two places?
Room or outside.
Were you allowed after school to come and go freely around the house?
Yes.
And your mom, was she around during those times of the day after school?
Yes.
She didn't work?
No.
Were there times that the defendant, Tim, in this case, was also around
Yes.
in the house?
Yes.
Would he sometimes do stuff with either, like after school? Would Tim or Tracy do things with you all after school occasionally?
We would eat meals.
So here's my issue with this. I understand what she's saying, but I know what's coming up at least a little bit with sort of the predicate behavior of this child. So while this sounds extreme, I'm not excusing what they did, but I can sort of see why they would have to monitor at least him having a device, at least him having certain things. So some of this doesn't sound too extreme, him having to do yard work is not abuse. Like, I'm sorry.
No, absolutely.
But-
not. I mean, it it is when all comes in connection with each other. All of a sudden, you are locked in. If you if you want to be not locked in, you have to mow the lawn or
Yeah.
everything. And all of a sudden, now you have a power play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and
And-
it does seem like the child was a scapegoat, but it also seems like the child was a little shit. So I'm having a hard time. Yeah, I'll have to. I don't like either party in this case. Can I be against both parties?
Can't do it.
Okay, but it wasn't with you when that happened?
Not often.
Now, when you say not often, was there 1 or 2 times that he was out and allowed to eat meals?
He was when I.
So that's the father
The
and the
majority of the
woman
time,
behind
yeah.
this, the
Not that
mother.
enough that I really recall.
Not her,
Okay.
but the woman with the straight hair and the kind of hooded
Now,
eyes.
you, at that time, were you
Yeah, they
involved
kind
in
of
any
look like
activities at
preachers.
school?
I was,
And
Yeah, here.
I was the part of
who will
marching
look
band and
very,
dance,
very
you know?
differently
Were there
in a
some times that
nutshell.
you had football games or events that were related to the marching band?
Yes,
Sometimes on those occasions, did your brother come to the event?
not that I can recall, but
Where would he be during those?
You know, it might be a
if my
chicken or
cousin
the egg
was
kind of
there,
thing.
he
I
might
don't
have
think
been
they
there, but
understood
I
how to handle a very
And when he
gifted
was left,
child, and I don't think many
home
people do.
alone, if your parents were at your event, was he allowed to be out freely in the house?
don't.
When you
So
have
were
an
there
Elon
family
Musk, how do you
events
deal with him?
That you went to where your brother is left home alone at the house?
Yes,
And also, I am not
Did you
condoning
personally
locking
even
him
get the
into a box.
opportunity to
I
see
think
him very often
their
during those 6
parenting
weeks
style
in
is
Florida?
stupid and ridiculous.
they're,
They had so many
like
options.
passing outside maybe, or through the window.
Even when he was at home?
Yeah, so I would see him like maybe doing yard work, I'd see him through my window, or maybe he did briefly come in the house for food or whatnot.
Now, was there a time in Florida where your brother ran away?
Yes,
And do you remember that
I can't
happening?
imagine why.
yes,
Was it over a weekend?
I believe so.
Okay, and what, did you end up staying at, what kind of happened when he was gone? Where were your parents?
So I was left home alone at a softball tournament, and Tim was far enough not present in the house.
Okay, so he's out of town maybe? And you said Tracy left.
Yes,
Where did she go?
I believe she went with his.
Was that like in Jupiter around Palm Beach County or was it out of town?
I don't remember.
But were you home alone
Yes,
while your brother was missing?
yes,
Were you allowed to let him back in the house
no,
if he came?
no.
Now, I want to talk for a second about another
believe
time
so.
frame. And Your Honor, now would be the appropriate time to read that instruction.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I have an instruction on the law that I'll be reading to you at this time. The evidence you receive from FF and RF concerning other crimes, wrongs, or acts allegedly committed by the defendants will be considered by you for the limited purpose of proving motive, opportunity, intent, preparation, plan, knowledge, or corroborating the testimony of EM, and you shall consider it only as it relates to those issues. However, the defendant is not on trial for a crime, wrong, or act that is not included in the information. You cannot convict the defendant for an offense he is not charged with. Instead, he can only be convicted of the crime for which he is charged.
Now, I want to talk with you about, we talked about kind of the time frame in Florida. Prior to Florida, you said you lived in Arizona.
Correct.
Tell me about the house that you lived in Arizona. What city did you live in
I lived
Arizona?
in Tucson.
Okay, tell me about the house you lived in.
It was a one-story house.
How many bedrooms was this house? Tell me about that.
So there were 4 bedrooms. And
When you first lived there, Who were the bedrooms assigned to?
So when we first initially moved there, it was myself.
And then did your parents have a
Yeah,
separate
they had their
bedroom?
master's bedroom.
So you said your sister, your brother, and you each had an individual bedroom?
Yes,
And was your brother's bedroom inside the house?
we're not down, yes.
Now, how old approximately are you when you kind of first moved to Arizona?
I just finished the 5th grade, so. I don't know what that age range
Okay,
is.
so you're in about the 5th grade
Yes,
and is younger than you?
yes,
So he's in the 3rd or 4th grade
yes.
at that time?
Oh, wait, no, moving?
When you first got to
Yes,
Arizona?
we had just, yes, sorry.
So is it right to say that he was probably in the 3rd or 4th grade
Right.
at that point, elementary school?
Yes,
Okay, and also in elementary school?
yes,
Now, at that point, you said that he had his own room.
yes.
That room, was it like an ordinary, regular room, or was there anything different about it?
No, it was basically a mirror of Lola's room.
Don't steal the government's job.
Could he go and come freely in that room?
Yes,
Okay, at some point, was there any kind of lock placed on that room?
there was a latch.
Tell me about that.
There was a little latch attached to the top of the door frame. It had a little pin keyhole thing.
So tell me, what does that mean for the person that's inside the room?
You couldn't come out.
Okay, so it could be latched from the outside.
Yes,
Did you see that there were times when he had a room in the house that it would be latched from the outside and he'd be locked in that room? Would he be locked in that room in Arizona?
yes,
Did that room have a bathroom?
no,
Now, is there at some point a time where he no longer had a room in the house?
yes.
Tell me about that.
When our youngest brother was born, they had a room built into the garage.
Okay, tell me about the room that was built in the garage.
No windows, it looked it had no windows, a tiny AC unit, bed, and sometimes a bucket, or sometimes his bottles were in there before they were taken out.
Okay, tell me about that. Was there times, how would that happen?
So like about the items in his room being taken out. If he got in trouble, if something happened, they would get moved out all the way out of his room, or if he had like decorations, when he would get upset, he would take them off the walls.
And when you say they would take everything out of the room, what would be left in the room?
His bed and a small desk where he would do homework.
Now, you mentioned that the room was built into the garage. Was that house the same as the Florida house? Like, was it all on one level, or was it something different?
So the Arizona house?
The Arizona house.
Yeah, it was all one floor. The garage, yes, had steps going down to it, but it was all one.
Now, that room in Arizona, did
She
it have a
does.
bathroom attached to it?
And it's a curly
No, I
mullet
don't-
too.
No,
REO
Did
Speedwagon
it
all the
have
way.
any windows?
no,
Did that room lock from the outside?
yes,
Did that room have any kind of smell?
yes.
Tell me about
Uh,
that.
You can see,
It-
not yet. We
How
haven't
about-
been published.
He had his bucket in there, which he would use good and bad. And sometimes if he didn't have a bucket in there, it'd just be on the floor.
Now, were there times in Arizona, like in Florida, where your brother would be in that room for long periods of time?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
It's roughly the same idea as one here, when we did it in Florida. He got in trouble, get sent down to his room, but it's more getting sent down, more often he was getting sent to the room.
And then how long would he be in the room for? Would it be long periods of time?
It would be long for me, I can't say off the top of my head.
Are we talking like all day?
Can I just say there were some days that I didn't really see him that often?
And so if you didn't see him that often, was he like not at the house, or where was
He
he?
was in his room or again outside.
So was the situation in Arizona similar in that he spent a lot of time in the room by himself?
Yes,
If he wasn't in school, where was he most of the time?
Are we talking about in Arizona?
in Arizona?
In Arizona, outside doing yard work or in his room?
Now, we talked about, in Florida, when he's outside doing yard work, he couldn't just come back in. Is that the same in Florida?
Yes.
What would happen? Like, where, would he just stand outside, or how would that work?
Yeah, so if he was doing yard work finished, he'd come stand outside and just wait, or one of them would go meet him outside. Because by then I mean my parents.
Okay, was he allowed to just come back in himself?
No,
Would the door be locked?
I can't.
Okay, you don't know whether or not it was locked.
I don't
It's okay,
know.
I don't want you to speculate, but was he allowed or freely able to come back in?
No.
Now, when he's outside, is he have under direct supervision there?
No, not all the time.
So he's just kind of out there by himself?
Yes,
And your parents, Tim and Tracy, are someplace else?
yes,
Now, you said that was roughly around the time that your brother was born. Who ended up taking over, your brother's room when he was born? Okay, so that became the new baby's room.
yes.
And you said that this is now.
Okay, as a large family person, again, if you have a new baby, the baby stays in your room. I'm sorry, but no one needs to lose their room. If you're the baby stays in your room, you're up most of the night, you're either nursing or making formula. You don't need a nursery. Just a formal tip here. At least for me.
Now, how old do you think he was now? Around 4?
Four-ish, I would say.
So,
And could it possibly be that this child started acting out because, there were kids popping out everywhere and he was only getting attention when he was bad? I mean, I'm not a child psychologist.
Yeah. I mean, he's the second oldest.
Yes.
Yeah. So all of it, he started out with having all the attention, almost, and then suddenly no attention.
Yeah, and if he's extremely smart and he realizes that negative attention is going to give him attention, I mean, look, I'm not condoning. The parents did the dumbest thing ever. There are plenty of programs, plenty of options that don't involve, again, crate training your children.
was it approximately how many years do you think was the special room in Arizona? Just an estimate.
Oh, like how?
How long before you moved to Florida was he kept in that room?
So the one in Arizona?
The one in Arizona, before you came to Florida?
Oh,
Um,
Baker got a verdict.
there's roughly 2 when we got here, so maybe
Do you want to stream snipe?
more than a year.
So approximately 2 years.
Mhm.
I feel like we should
That's
stick
in it from
and let
that's not
Before you
this
came
thing
to
because
Florida.
we're
Yes.
already a day behind.
Yeah.
And how old were you when you came to Florida?
So moving from Arizona to Florida.
How old were you?
So.
And I feel like if we switch over, we might jinx
wait.
it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I feel
got
very
confused.
I feel scared that if we go over,
It's okay.
he'll
take
say
your time.
no.
Okay, so when we moved to Arizona.
I'm worried, and then I'm
Yeah.
worried that Baker
I
might
just
start
finished fifth
crying.
grade, and then coming with that, I was in the middle of my
Can we get another week?
Okay, so you were in high school.
Yes,
When you came back to Florida.
yes,
And your brother was in middle school.
yes.
Now, we talked a lot about your brother being in the room in Arizona. Were there times where you were concerned about whether or not your brother was getting food or being fed regularly?
Yes.
What would you do when that happened?
If I saw there was a plate for him, sometimes I'd be able to take it and just brought it down to him really quick. And otherwise, I really couldn't do anything.
And when you say you brought it down to him, where would you have to bring it down to?
To his room downstairs in the garage. This is Arizona, right? Yeah, so downstairs, his room there.
Are there times over the course of when you were living in Arizona that you ever saw your father, the defendant, be physically aggressive towards your brother?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
You would grab him by the back of the neck and just kind of haul him down to his room. That was the most common one that I saw.
Would you be able to see what was happening once they're down in the room?
Once they're in the room, no.
Would you be able to hear what is happening?
Yes.
Tell me what you heard.
I would hear him curse at him, yell at him.
And you saying I would hear him curse at him. Who
Sorry,
curse?
I would hear Tim yell at him.
And would you hear him curse at him?
Yes.
Okay. What else would you hear?
I would hear the sound of contact, so like slapping or hitting or something. And then I'd also hear my brother scream.
Now, during these interactions, are they like is Tim, the defendant in this case, like rationally explaining or calmly explaining the change in behavior or what your brother did wrong?
No.
Is he angry?
Yes.
How can you tell that? Like, what makes you think that he was angry?
It was really loud and it didn't really seem much like an explanation. It just felt like he was just shouting at him.
Was your brother in trouble with your parents or on punishment with your parents a lot of the time?
Yes.
Did it seem like he basically was always in trouble?
Yes.
Did it seem like even when he did things that were positive or appropriate, that was acknowledged?
Speculation.
Based on what you saw?
Objections
You have
overruled.
to
Objections overruled.
wait before answering.
The objection was speculation, correct? Objections overruled.
Based on what you saw, when your brother was acting in the way that your parents wanted or doing positive things, was that acknowledged?
Briefly.
Okay. Did it lead to like a change in his circumstances or improvement in that how he was treated?
Briefly.
Okay, and when you say briefly, what do you mean by that?
It maybe went for a week or so and then something else happened. He did something else. He got himself in trouble and didn't go back to the way it was.
Was the ways that he got in trouble, to you, did it
Hello,
seem
Dirk.
proportionate to what you knew he got in trouble for?
No.
Did it seem extreme, a reaction?
Relevant, her opinion.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that objection.
It was relevant, Your Honor?
Relevant as to her opinion.
All right, overruled. Go ahead, Ms. Copeland.
Can you answer that
Sir,
question?
can you repeat it?
Yeah, did the punishment seem appropriate or proportional to
No.
what he was doing?
No.
Did the majority of the things that he was punished for, are they minor types of things?
From what I saw, yes.
Now, I want to talk about how your perception of in both Florida and Arizona.
Okay.
Did you ever feel a time that you were unsafe around your brother?
Unsafe as to,
Physical harm?
like, him harming me?
Yeah.
No.
No. Did you at any time, did he ever threaten you or anything like that?
No.
Did you ever see him intentionally cause physical harm to any of your siblings
No.
or your parents?
No.
That's all the questions I have.
All right, Mr. Waidi, any cross?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're going to take a short break. Mark, you can escort the jurors into the jury room for a very short break, and then once we're set up, we'll reconvene.
We need Dave here for this tie.
ready.
This judge's tie. I have thoughts. It's Harlequin with all the neon.
Hmm.
And then hello, Luna. Okay, so let's get this.
Wait. Okay, wait a minute. Was the verdict hung or guilty?
Yeah, I'm confused.
Yeah.
I guess we'll go over and snipe Baker since we can't stop him from, since there's actually a verdict now, we can go to Baker. So let me pull that over.
and it results in the death, but you didn't intend to kill them, but you did intend to. That's kind of a voluntary manslaughter, as opposed to like second degree murder, which again is an intentional act, but you didn't intend the death, but it's really risky stuff.
Yeah,
So
it's like shooting someone. I didn't mean to kill them, but they ended up dying from a gunshot wound. It's inherently an inherently dangerous and reckless act to, indifference to life.
So that's
to shoot someone.
It just makes me want to scream just at the top of my lungs because
Yeah.
it
But how do you
was like the jury
justify
did not pay any attention.
in what?
Uh,
How do you justify voluntary manslaughter in what we were shown?
Exactly.
Well, like I
Because
said,
you want to go home to your wife.
I know, but guys, this is.
But they're not sequestered. They go home to their wife every night.
Yeah, but you
So
get
it's not like they're. If they've been
15
sequestered like
bucks.
OJ's jury for 9 months, I could see it.
Yeah, they're
you're getting
going.
$15. So a defendant
Well, you are
convicted of
getting
voluntary manslaughter in
$15.
Massachusetts shall be punished by the state prison for not more than 20 years, or in jail or house of correction for not more than 2.5 years. I don't get that one.
Yeah, I was just seeing what
The
they were
potential
talking.
consequences may be found at Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 265, Section 13. And what does Section 13 say?
All right. Well, I'm jumping off here, going to eat lunch. If you're still going whenever I get back, well, then I'll see you then.
Okay,
And
so
Valhalla, she's already served 7 years. I think two years before
2 years before, 5
trial
years
started,
after.
and then 5 years after she was convicted in the third trial. Before it was
See you,
overturned.
Cece.
See you guys.
Guys, I should-
Yeah, and Section 13 said manslaughter, punishment, business organization as defendant. I don't know why that's
all right, well, we'll
involuntary.
come back.
Whoever commits
Maybe I'll cover
manslaughter
a
shall
little bit of
accept or
this
hereinafter
tonight
provided
for
be
Nightly
punished by
Newsy News.
imprisonment in the state prison
That
for not more than
that
20
trial
years
is
or by
the
a fine
Carla
of not more
Rintala
than
trial. So
$1,000
Baker
and
covered
imprisonment in jail
uh,
or house.
covered Carla Rintala. This is the state's fourth go around of trying to convict her for the murder of her wife. And from what I have heard from Baker and Jamie and Shizzy, it has been just a cluster of all the F's. So it has been pretty clear from what they have said that there was not anything to actually justify the guilty verdict that they just.
Yeah, but the last year,
Everyone can be
2
serious.
years, we have seen trials where people get convicted for nothing.
Yeah, it seems like there was probably a holdout who said she was guilty, or there were several holdouts. I mean, they were probably negotiating back there, is my
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, and they changed out some jurors in the middle of it as well. I think on Monday.
Yeah, and I think my guess is if the judge is smart, Sal's probably right. The judge better just do time served and end it.
Yeah.
Because if not, he is going to have to deal with appellate for juror misconduct. Because her defense attorney seems like she goes to the paint pretty hard from what I've seen. So I would just end it and stop the bleeding, but that's just me. And that would require the judge to be smart and the state to be smart. And those two things don't seem to happen in conjunction with each other unless there's like a full moon and the apocalypse together. So,
yeah.
But we shall continue. So now this is the defense, and they are going to cross-examine the older sister of Ty or Ronan, the alleged victim.
And we'll hear you there. So, well, when I talk, I'll be standing there. Yeah. So who you, if you want to speak. So when you're there, or whatever, anything. Proximity is really. Yeah, I'll get. All right. Yeah.
Why? I mean, it's not hard to talk into a microphone.
Nicholas, it is very hard. Even the closed captioning is like music. We don't know. Question mark.
Yeah.
Upside down exclamation part. Point. We don't.
When do you anticipate ending for today at 4:47?
You have the microphone.
It's going to depend
right
on you
in front
folks
of your
in terms of
mouth.
what you tell me as far as your cross of this witness. I mean, obviously, this will be the last witness for the day, but if you have a long way to go, then that'll affect what I do for the remainder of the day. So give them a mic so this is all on the record. It's almost 5 o'clock then. I'm inclined, if you're not going to finish very quickly, and I'm obviously not rushing you at all on your cross. I want you to take whatever time you think you need. But if you think you're going to need 35 to 45 minutes, that's going to run us over what
Oh,
I
sorry.
normally, the time I normally keep jurors here in the afternoon. So I'm inclined then to not start the cross until tomorrow morning. What do both sides think on that? Okay. And just let Ms. Coakley know that Mr. Waheed's anticipating 35 to 45 minutes. Okay.
After speaking to my client, we definitely won't be done quickly. So I would agree with the court if the court is saying, let's hold this cross till tomorrow.
And it's not only it's not for my benefit, but the benefit of the jurors that are deciding this case. Any issue having Ms. Farrader back tomorrow morning? Ms. Black? The state handles their witnesses and availability, so I'm looking for you to give me guidance. Can Ms. Coakley come back? I mean, we can communicate with her through this link.
I don't think she's in there. Do you just want to run down? I just need to stop for then. But she's probably talking to us.
We're all getting our steps in today, Judge.
Well, I'm in 10G, so I walk from literally one end of the courthouse to the other every time I take a
I was
break.
just in your courtroom. It's lovely. But far. In heels, I don't have to do that. That's correct.
I choose my own.
Ms. Coakley, can you hear me? Ms. Coakley? I'm not able to hear her now.
They fixed it. They just unmuted it.
Okay, so Mr. Waheed's advised that he expects his cross to take anywhere from 35 to 45 minutes, which leads me to the determination that we're probably better served to start the cross-examination tomorrow morning, because I don't want to keep the jury here to 5:45 or 6 today. What's your availability of the witness to be back here tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock?
Understood, Your Honor.
I'm asking, is the state able to have Ms. Farrader back here tomorrow morning at 10?
I mean, she'll have to miss school, but I mean,
can't be helped.
Yeah, I don't think it can be helped. So I think that's what we're going to do. Just let the witness know that we'll need her back here tomorrow. Make sure whomever is responsible for her has her here ready to continue her cross-examination at 10 o'clock. We do want to run a test again tomorrow morning before we start to make sure that.
So that we are going to skip up to day 2.
Yay!
Yay, day 2. Woohoo! Learning about Florida technology. Because we are all on things, or we're all on top of it. Well, I do love that his wife accompanied him. I mean, what would you do without your wife accompanying you to your trial where you imprisoned your other kid?
Yeah.
I mean,
Counsel, appearances, please. All right, for
Mike,
those that
for
are
the love
present
of
on Zoom, you will hear the.
Nicholas, can we band together across America, across the world, and get lapel mics? If
Yeah.
if my technologically impaired behind can sort of work a $25 lapel mic that I kind of got off of eBay, can these people learn how to use one?
Yeah, I'm currently speaking into my $30 webcam with the mic built in. I mean, this isn't hard. I mean,
I'm so this is not a difficult thing. This is not like rocket scientist, neurosurgery, rocket surgery. This has to be on a record. It really does. In theory, I thought. I mean, according to Daryl Brooks, everything is on the record, I thought.
yeah.
This magical, beautiful record.
The audio, but during this stage of the proceedings, you will not be hearing or seeing the video because it's in camera. All right.
You're answering. She
All
is.
right, everyone may be seated. All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, welcome back. I trust everyone had a good evening. We are here on day 4, and we are in the state's portion of the case. And as you know from yesterday, we're in the stage of the cross-examination of the witness. Before we begin, a couple things I need to address with you. First question is what
Yes,
you heard
he
yesterday.
is
Have
still
any of
alive,
you, were any of you
JKD Buck,
inadvertently
and he will
exposed to any
actually be testifying. So
type of media coverage between last night and this morning regarding this case, either by video, print media, or blog, email, or anything? Anybody been inadvertently exposed? All right, let the record reflect that no one indicated in the affirmative. Second thing is we're, as you know, conducting this testimony in camera with the witness in another courtroom. So technologically, we're having to transmit the signal into this courtroom. Very, very important for me that all of the jurors be able to hear and understand what is being said. So if you have a problem hearing what is being said, please raise your hand. Do not be shy. Do not be afraid, because I will stop the proceedings and make sure the question is restated or the answer is restated so that you do hear it. I also want to let you know that during your deliberations, you have the right to have any testimony replayed that you wish to hear. And so if there were parts of the testimony that you didn't believe you heard well enough and you want to hear again during the deliberation, just let me know and that'll be replayed for you. And my understanding is that the recording will come from the courtroom in which the witness was testifying out of, and that perhaps the sound will be a bit better. Last thing is we have tried to work through some of the issues that I personally had with respect to the sound yesterday. I hope that they've been resolved, but I can't guarantee it because I don't know how well you hear or not. And so if you have a problem still, you'll let me know so I can take whatever measures need to be taken to ensure, above all, that you hear all of the testimony that's presented. So everybody understand that? So don't be shy if you can't hear, so I can take whatever remedial action I need to take. All right, so Mr. Waheed, are you ready for your cross-examination?
Yes, Judge, I am.
All right, so you may proceed, sir. Thank you.
How are you?
I'm fine.
You might be nervous. I'm just here to ask some questions. If you don't understand anything I ask you, just say I didn't understand the question, okay?
Okay.
Let's start with your brother's name. It's correct?
Yes.
So you've been calling him, correct?
Yes.
So do you want me to just call him when we're talking about him?
Brennan, it's fine.
It's fine. All right. So let's go back to Arizona. So some of what you talked about yesterday was Arizona, and some of it was Florida. Arizona, you were there from approximately what year to what year that you remember?
Left around 5th grade, and then we came back in the middle of my sophomore year, so whatever time period that was.
Okay. So you're in 5th grade, you think you were about, what, 10, 9, 10, 10, 11, something like that?
Roughly.
Okay. So, and then in sophomore year, how old were you?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Arizona years were about 4 or 5 years, something like that. Okay. All right. So you were there and then you came back to Florida and the Florida time period was, you said, around late December of 2021. And then in this case, we're taking it up to the end of January of 2022. So in that time period, so that's about 6 weeks or so, correct?
Roughly, yeah.
Okay. So substantially more time in
Let me
Arizona,
check.
obviously.
I'll have to pay
than
attention.
this
I was
last
trying
time
to
in Florida.
Yes.
figure out a couple different things for
Let me
one more
ask you a
video.
little bit about your brother's
Because I keep
medical
up with the
situation.
news to do nightly news.
You never
and
went to the many doctor visits that he went to, correct?
No.
But your parents went to those visits, correct?
I assume yes.
Okay. You don't know if any parent went to a visit with a doctor?
I didn't really.
Okay. And you never obviously saw any of the medical reports that your parents saw, correct?
No.
And at some point, you were told by your parents something
Objection as to hearsay?
Sustained.
goes to effect on the listening judge.
I'm going to sustain.
And
the
relevance,
objection.
Your Honor.
I'm sorry? Ms. Cochler, you renewing?
Nothing else.
Ms. Coakley, are you renewing your objection? He's arguing the exception.
Your Honor, I would say then it goes to if there's not relevance, the effect on her.
Sustained.
On direct yesterday, you said that your brother wasn't allowed to have certain snacks, correct?
Yes.
And you're aware that he was, your parents were trying to curtail the sugary snacks in his diet, correct?
That's what they said.
Okay, so you're aware of that, right?
Yes.
All right. And you didn't go to any of the mental health visits that your brother went to. He was seeing a therapist. You didn't go to those, correct?
When was this?
This would have been in Arizona.
He was going to a therapist. I wasn't aware of that.
Okay, fair. Which would also mean you weren't aware of anything the therapist would have conveyed to the family in terms of his condition.
No.
Okay. So let's go back to the food snacks. Yesterday you said he was essentially not allowed to have food and snacks, but the other kids were, correct?
Yes.
Were you aware that, did you think your brother at any point looked malnourished or in any way like he was getting too thin or anything like that?
Yes.
And when did you convey that to anybody?
I never said anything.
All right. And are you aware that the doctors he saw always found that he was appropriate?
Sustained. Sustained, and it's an improper question because you're assuming facts not in evidence, Mr. Waid. The objection is sustained.
Well, I'll be able to tie it up later, Judge. So it's a question of what she knows.
I'm going to sustain the objection. Move on.
Oh. You can't go to that later on. You have to actually say it.
Yesterday, you said that about the snacks, that he wasn't allowed to have snacks. Isn't it true? You do not know if when he was hungry that he actually ate snacks or not. You don't know that.
Sorry. Repeat that?
Sure. You are unaware that when he was hungry, whether or not he actually ate a snack. You don't know that.
He wasn't allowed to get his own snacks.
You remember you spoke to somebody under oath back on February 1 of 2022. And directing court and counsel, page 55, line 8. As to snacks,
I am not doing anything. They are still.
okay.
I don't think they can hear the answers. I think they're having technical difficulties.
You gave a statement on February 1 of 2022. It was not under oath. And in that statement, you were asked, if he's hungry, does he get light snacks? And your response was, I don't know.
And I don't know.
You don't know. Okay. And you don't know because you're not with him all the time. You're not always watching him. You're at school. You have other things going on in your life, correct?
Yeah.
And you're a pretty smart child. You like reading a lot, correct?
Yes.
And you spend a lot of your time in your room reading by yourself, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay. Let me talk to you about lights. You were aware that he had not been sleeping well, correct?
Yes.
And he, in fact, told you he would stay up sometimes at 3 a.m. because he couldn't sleep.
Objection as to hearsay, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Impeachment, Judge. From yesterday's testimony.
I'm sorry, Mr. White.
This is rebuttal of yesterday's testimony, Judge.
All right, this is still hearsay. Sustained.
It's impeachment, Judge.
So you're not offering it for the truth of the matter asserted, correct?
Correct. Correct.
Solely for purposes of impeachment.
Correct.
Ms. Coker, your position?
There was no testimony as to any statement that made on this topic, Your Honor. We didn't even discuss his sleep habits with this witness, so it cannot be impeachment.
This witness talked about the lights on the outside of the room and that the parents would turn off the light.
Hi, Irish. Thank you.
But the question relates to what RF told her with respect to how late he was staying up, correct?
Correct.
I'm going to sustain the objection.
Correct. Yeah, you can't just impeach on You have to impeach on that specific
You
subject.
talked about,
Oh,
a few things yesterday.
that.
Some of them were in Arizona, some of them were in Arizona and Florida. You talked yesterday about your lack of contact with, during those 6 weeks in Florida. Remember that?
Yes.
Right. And reality is you were pretty busy doing homework or at school or at your sister's games during that time. And you didn't really have any reason to go to Romansworth, correct?
Yes.
And you spent a lot of your time in your own room reading, correct?
Yes.
You also talked yesterday about not going to your events, and it was that you must be talking about in Arizona, correct?
Yes.
Let me check here.
I'm going to show you 3 pictures. Approach. Take a look at each. Tell me, do you recognize what those pictures are of?
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going to.
I think it was
mark
around
each
that
one's
time.
identification, a little number. So the one I put a card on that says number 4, what is that a picture of?
Truth, old line.
I'm sorry, say that again?
U of A Bend.
Okay. And the picture marked number 5, what is that a picture of?
A concert.
Okay. And the picture with the card number 6 on it, what is that a picture of?
Spelling bee.
Spelling bee, okay. All right. And these are all events, your events, correct?
Yes.
This time I move these defense 4, 5, and 6 into evidence.
Your state would object as to relevance. I also have some more specific objections about the time frame.
Relevancy
Arizona.
response, Mr. Wahid?
It's Arizona.
These are
and
events that this individual, this witness went to in Arizona?
This individual went to in Arizona, correct? I have more questions. I don't want to get something in front of the jury, Judge, but yes, I was there. This is in response directly to when yesterday she said that he did not attend her events. And I just established that before I showed the picture.
All right, well, she's already said that he didn't, so
Right.
I'm going to sustain the objection. I'm sustaining the objection. 4, 5, and 6 are not coming in. They're marked for ID as defense exhibits 4, 5, and 6. All right, so you need to do a sidebar. Mark, escort the jurors into the jury room. Mr. Wahid, you need to come up to this courtroom for the sidebar.
Right.
Yeah, he is clearly fishing for something that he can't get in.
Well, it looks like so yesterday she kind of was implying that the victim child was not included in any family events or her performances or anything like that. And they have now direct impeachment evidence of her or of Ronan or Ty being in these pictures at her concerts and things like that in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know how valid that is because the judge doesn't seem inclined to let them in either way, but they are going to argue it.
Mm.
2 minutes, we're going to discuss something and then we're going to come back, okay? You don't have to sit there, though. You can go sit over here if you want. It's more comfortable.
You don't have copies up here, Ms. Murad, that I can look at while we're waiting?
You know, I had that haircut in middle school. The guy in the suit with the purple. That was my haircut through the entire middle school.
Well, 4, 5, and 6 is what he
Yes,
had them marked as. So it tells me even less, so.
I'm working on it, Judge. I have a number of photos, and I just need to know which ones Mr. Watkins are.
All right, well, that's why I asked for him to come up here to be part of the sidebar.
Well, and to this point, if you are in a household where you are, let's say you have a parent that has a hair trigger, you learn to be a very good human barometer. You learn to be very noticeful of people's micro expressions, body language, you know, kind of things. It's you learn to very quickly change your behavior based on how that particular person is behaving. You learn to be very attuned to their behavior. If they're having a bad day, if they're, you know, you learn to become very attuned to their moods. That just seems to be something that happens.
Yeah, it should be just momentarily.
And if you're a compliant child, if you're not a willful child, then you will go with the flow. You'll be very quiet. You will be very, you know, accommodating. You won't rock the boat. You might be
All right, come on up,
anxious.
counsel.
I'm sorry, Baker. Would you like to do Newsy News with me and Fry? I would send you an invite, but I think this would hurt your soul too. So you can do Newsy News with me. Some days you feel like you're doing okay. Some days you feel like you're pretty much meh.
But tomorrow evening, my time, I will do
Yes.
a finally Friday stream, and I'm thinking of doing something like a bit of a competition.
Sound okay.
Yeah, don't laugh competition among the guests.
Oh no. I make my own self laugh.
Yeah, me too. I'm having a hard time doing it, but I'm thinking about doing something like telling. Say we are four of us. Then
Okay.
each of us tells a dad joke, and whoever breaks has to have a drink of beer or a shot or something.
We could probably do that. I know. So I don't know if you saw my Newsy News, but there is a fat bear competition and we all need to vote. Okay, I will.
A fat bear competition.
Yes. Apparently they have, you vote on bears going into hibernation and, yes.
Yeah, Peace Pure
And
says that's a brilliant idea, and thank you.
yes.
But in that picture, is you with
Okay.
the.
Oh, wait. I guess I went to plaid when I
For
should have just
purposes of
gone to
refreshing
ludicrous.
recollection. Mr. Waid, you clear on the court's ruling at this point?
I am.
All right, you may proceed.
So Fiona, if you look at the picture where number 4 is, the card is number 4 there. What's that a picture of?
Arizona Band-Aid.
Okay, and.
All right, she
do
needs
you
to
remember-
restate that. She needs to restate that answer because my jurors did not hear it. So state your answer again, ma'am.
As loud as you can speak, Fiona.
Arizona Band-Aid?
Better.
Arizona Band Day?
Yes. Band.
So I'm gonna repeat the answer here every once in a while to make sure, and you just agree or don't agree with me. So you just said Arizona Band Day.
Yes.
And in that picture is you with the awesome hat, correct?
Yes.
And you're holding an instrument.
Yes.
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 And what's that instrument?
A flute?
A flute. So that's what you play?
Yes.
You still play the
She,
flute?
wait a
Never
minute.
want to.
Wait a minute. We have to stop-rate this. She played a flute in band camp. I can't. I'm 12
Was
and a
it
half.
And
Sorry.
next to you in that picture,
It's the piccolo or whatever that thing is. As long as it's not a recorder, because holy Jesus, recorders are the instrument of the devil. I have to go through it 6 times. I should have thought of that before having 6 children.
Hmm.
And
Kazoo
that is
definitely an instrument that does not open legs. I'm just
yeah. Clarinets either.
And if a guy says he plays the flute, well, in what regard? Oh, yeah.
Kenny G is the only guy who could play the saxophone and maybe make it possible that, you know. Oh, it's okay, Dennis. I often make myself laugh at inappropriate me jokes.
Ghost to his sister play the flute in Bandcamp. Okay.
No, it's a real. They're real bears. They're real bears in a nature preserve up in Alaska. They take pictures of these bears right before they go into hibernation. They have a bracket competition. Each day you vote for different bears to compete against each other. And Otis the bear has won for too many years, and we need to topple Otis. So we need to get.
picture is whom?
But we could also make another
Directly
bear.
next to me is my
Sal
brother.
and I will make another bear
Which brother?
competition because you know we will.
And in front of him is whom? And next to, so that's all your siblings in that picture, correct?
Yes.
So they did attend, they did attend that day.
I'm not
correct?
pulling that up, Nicholas.
Yes.
Now,
I've learned to read these things first. First step
Damn.
of YouTube, read things first.
I think the court
That's-
already moved it into evidence, but
That's the
I
most
have it
fun
on
with
the
Rob
floor
on
into
number.
evidence.
I've already
because he
received
never
it
reads
accepted
anything
4 in evidence,
before-
and I've dealt with 5 and 6 already. They're this the objection sustained, but you can use them for refreshing recollection. So, Madam Clerk, are you clear on the court's rulings on that? Okay, all right, good enough.
Yep, I will be going till 2:00. Bobby.
Showing you 5, do you recognize this picture?
Vaguely,
Okay, what do you remember it from?
it was a concert.
And
I
I'm
did.
sorry, it was a bad
Okay,
trip.
So you remember that you attended a concert and your brother was present, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then looking at 6, do you remember now attending your spelling bee? I'm just gonna look at the picture though.
I am.
Okay. Who's that? I can't even see it upside down.
It looks like,
So do you recall him,
I don't know.
do you recall him attending your spelling bee?
Old Line, it's the first time I've felt excited to vote this year. It's the only thing I'm excited to vote for in the next 2 years. Let's be honest.
yes.
Yesterday, you said that.
That man is aggressively chewing his gum. Oh, well,
Not, yes.
And that
That looks like that actor in Better Call Saul, but younger.
Showing you what's been previously marked as exhibit.
he's a
7.
method actor. He's like, I have to go
Yeah.
to courts to figure this out.
Oh, what's his name? Another actor. They.
Do you recognize, what is that picture of?
Me doing my homework.
Okay. And how do you recognize that?
What do you mean?
You know it's you because it looks like you?
That's me.
Okay, I just wanted to making sure. Okay, so that is a picture of you, and who else is in that picture?
There's one in the background.
All right, and what's he doing?
Homework.
All right. At this point, Judge, I move defense 7 into evidence.
All right, so I've already heard sidebar arguments on this. Court's going to receive and accept Defendant's Exhibit 7 in evidence over objection. You may continue, Mr. Waheed.
Yes, Judge. Giving the clerk the evidence item.
I live in a cornfield community, so we all have our crosses to bear.
When you say corn, you don't mean what you can't say on
Yesterday, you
YouTube.
also said that.
No, I mean actual cornfields, although they are starting to harvest now, so you get to have all the corn dust blow in, which is awesome.
Was not allowed to attend family
Children
events.
of the
Recall saying that?
You know, it's hilarious when you have a bunch of blonde kids, right, walking behind you. It's like, yeah, no, I promise we aren't part of a cult that I know of yet. But maybe for tax purposes, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Start a religion. Odidism is popular, I heard.
I'm not in Carroll County. Besides, Moism sounds much funner. And you don't have to do anything weird to your boobs or not boobs. Look. Moism is really just a fakey religion, but for tax purposes. In 100 years from now, they're...
All right. So he attended.
Some family events.
Some family events. Okay. And when he attended those family events, those would include trips outside when you know, to things that were like going to see like
you know, you live rural when you post in the local Facebook group that there are cows on the road. Just saying. And nobody's surprised.
Call the Aerospace Museum, but he would come sometimes.
Okay. Going to show you Defense 8.
Yes, I will add that to the list of things in the commandments, Sal. Just for you.
Well, it's Yodiism.
Who's in the picture?
There's a special Jody dispensation.
Okay. Do you remember the people in the picture?
Yes.
All right. Do you remember where this picture was taken?
Yipes.
No.
recall taking, family hikes, which included
Yes,
and to Sabine
Welcome,
Canyon?
Melissa Jane.
yes.
Yeah, if you are in the Church of Mo, deer will not like you. I'm sorry. It's just part of the Church of Mo.
You recall
They are our natural
your
enemies.
family,
I
including
don't know
spending
why.
time at the Tucson Hotel JW Marriott Pool.
No,
Showing you what's been marked for identification as defense 10. Does that help refresh your recollection?
These deer are vicious.
All right. Yesterday you said he was not allowed to play outside, correct?
I believe I said not usually.
Okay. But he would be allowed to play outside, correct?
On occasion,
He would play outside in the backyard in Arizona, correct?
if you would call it backyard.
All right, well, setting aside.
All right, hold on a sec, Mr. Wahid. We're getting noise from outside that's interfering with our ability to hear her, so let that pass as the train.
Welcome, Wolfram. Sorry.
All right,
You're
I'm going
doing
to ask you to
exactly what
restate
Fry's
the last
doing.
question and give the witness a chance to restate her answer.
My last question was whether you recall playing outside in the backyard in Arizona.
Yes,
Okay. And he would play at times with the other kids in your family, correct?
yes.
You recall all of you kids playing at a friend's house swimming pool in Arizona?
That's too general.
Okay. Well, a swimming pool in Arizona that was not your home, but the home of a family friend.
I wish he would just answer the question. They can rehab her on cross.
Let me show you something and see if it helps you narrow down where I'm going with this. Showing you what's been marked for identification is defense 12. Do you recognize that location and the people in that picture?
I recognize my sibling, but I don't recognize the person.
You don't, I have to get a clearer answer from you. I heard you say you recognize.
I recognize my siblings, but I don't recognize the person in the middle between my brother and my sister.
Okay, and your brother, that's correct?
Yes,
All right, and you're at a swimming pool, correct?
yes.
Your house didn't have a swimming pool, right?
Which one in Arizona?
Yes.
It did have a swimming pool.
Okay, is that your house in Arizona swimming pool?
No.
All right, so so is it fair to say that there were times where you all went out together, including going to friends' houses?
At
with
times,
Ronan?
yes.
You recall going to Mount Lemon in Arizona with your brother?
Yes,
And that was like a family vacation day, correct?
Yes.
Did your family celebrate birthdays?
This is the defense attorney. So this is
Yes.
cross-examination. And yeah, well, so this is bothering me. I understand she's taking her time and I don't it just when people automatically when the defense is asking questions, when they automatically freeze up and then, start answering kind of defensively, ironically enough, it, I I wish they would just answer the question, you know, and then um let it rehab in cross. I wish at least the state's attorneys would give people better instruction, like, okay, they're going to ask you questions in cross, try to answer naturally, don't overthink them like gotcha questions. I mean, think about them, but don't do this like minute kind of algebra thing because all it does is it makes it seem really suspect when you're taking years to answer a defense question versus okay, to be fair, I would answer all all questions defensively because I don't know what people are thinking and automatically assuming you're all insane. True. If I were on stand, I'd assume you're all trying to get me, so I would answer all questions. I would be like, "What are you specifically trying to ask me?" I would not take my own advice.
And by celebrate, how would they do that? Bring out a cake, everyone, family sitting around the table, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Was involved in martial arts.
That could also be very true. You are right.
And your parents put all the kids, other than kids very small, in some activities, correct?
Yes.
And you were involved in track at some point at basic.
I did not go to base.
Okay. Did you ever do track?
Yes.
All right. Was Ron doing track with you?
Where?
When you were doing track?
I did track in 2 places here and in Arizona.
All right. Let's talk about Arizona. Did you track in Arizona?
Yes.
I know you didn't like track, so you didn't do track as long, correct?
No. Yes. Well, yes, I did.
I don't like running either. Okay, so let me ask you about floors. So yesterday, you remember you saying that one would be outside moving shells.
Yes.
That's here in Florida, correct?
Correct.
And that was this current time in Florida from end of December of 21 to the end of January of 22, correct?
Yes.
And the house your parents moved into in Jupiter had in front of it a tree with a bunch of shells around it, correct?
Yes.
And they didn't want the shells, so there was an effort to remove the shells slowly and get rid of them, correct?
Yes,
And that's what you're talking about that was working on, correct?
yes,
You had chores in the house too, didn't you?
yes,
And so did no,
yes,
and the types of chores that you and Noah had would be mostly inside the house, cleaning up, that sort of thing, correct?
yes,
And the types of chores that your brother had were mostly outside things, right?
yes.
So we had posters in his room at some point, correct?
Yes.
Oh, it
In
is
fact,
a
your parents got
it is one of my terrible tumblers. I don't know. Let me see if I can. So it says, B word, I will put you in the trunk and help people look for you. So as per usual, wonderful a message for humanity. As all my tumblers are.
those for him for Christmas, one of the Christmases, correct?
I don't remember.
I'm going to see if I can refresh your recollection of the statement you made on February 1, 2022. Current Court of Counsel to page 24, line 13.
And I guess the defense did go through voir dire that they were going to be fairly aggressive with the child witnesses. So they did ask everyone if they were going to be okay with, you know, fairly aggressive
Approach.
approach to, you know, interview and testimony of children.
So there were some posters that your parents got for Christmas, correct?
Yes,
And at some point shredded all of these posters, didn't we?
he did.
And you used to also have a dresser in his room in Arizona, correct?
He did.
And this dresser was taken out of the room, correct?
Yes,
And it was because he was ripping his clothes up when he got upset, correct?
yes.
And the dresser was placed just outside of his room.
This is in Arizona, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So in late January of 22, had run away, correct?
Yes.
He had run away at least 2 times.
He looks
before
like
that,
the bad guy
Yes,
in the
he
Adam
did.
Sandler
in Arizona.
Yes.
movie.
Yeah, it's you.
And your parents at some point
Billy Madison.
had a family meeting. I think it was when he first ran away and asked you all how you felt about him running away, correct?
I don't remember.
Referring court and counsel to the statement of February 1st, 22, page 32, line 16, at the end of the page. I'm going to give you this. Read from this line at the end of the page until when you're done.
As far as I know, they are still married. They walked hand in hand into the court yesterday. As far as I know, the cases
So your
have been
parents had a family
separated.
meeting the first time you ran away.
I
They asked
have
you all
not
how you
heard
felt about
anything
it.
else,
Yes.
but
And
that
your
is all I've
position
heard
was
so
that-
far. They haven't reported anything else that I know of.
As to the answer or to the question?
To both, Your Honor.
And let me backonate just a little so you can hear his answer. And I believe they are, to use Jim Gaffigan's reporting style, Shiite Catholic.
Yes.
And your position was that,
Objection as to hearsay, Your Honor.
As to the answer or to the question?
To both, Your Honor.
All right, overruled as to the answer, and overruled as to the question as phrased. You may answer.
I'm gonna ask this question.
The question was, what was her position?
Yeah, the question was exactly what was your position about, when they had those meetings, they asked you how you felt about it, what was your position?
And let me be clear, I'm allowing her to state what her position was, not what she said. She can testify as to what her position was and that not be hearsay. So I'm going to allow that.
Can you repeat what you're asking?
Yes.
I do not know
So
sports
I'm
ball,
gonna Go
so
back to the previous question where I had asked you, they had meetings, when you first ran away, they asked you all how you felt about it. What was your position on that?
On him running away?
On how you felt about that? How did you feel about that? Him running away, yes. First time.
oh, that's good.
I'm sorry,
You want me to ask the question again?
no, I heard you, I'm just trying.
Did the jury hear that? All right, do you need to have her restate that answer?
He said, I heard the question, I'm just trying.
Okay, so,
And she's done,
all right.
I'm trying to think.
trying to think.
Okay, all right, take your time.
I'm sorry. When he ran away, I wasn't really sure what to think. I was surprised, but also tried to understand why he would do it. I was worried, I guess, at least.
Because he was
My
locked
answer.
in his room?
My answer.
I mean,
I'm not sure I'm understanding the question though.
All right, I'm gonna move on. Is it fair to
Yeah,
say?
Daddy, you could
that
have
when-
avoided all
when
of
you
this
do
by
get
taking a
back
plea.
there,
Now look what you're putting your daughter through.
Around the time frame. in
yeah, this
Arizona,
is,
Stand off the
that
freaking ear.
you did
yeah, this is, look, for pure selfishness reasons, he should have taken the plea deal, but to also or to keep his kids from having to do all of this, he should have just taken the damn plea deal. I mean, regardless of how you feel about, you know, anything, you're in the wrong, sir. Your parenting style is stupid on levels heretofore unseen.
The only thing that could have made this worse is if he had a YouTube channel doing parental advice.
I'm sure he probably thought he probably was setting it up. They probably got the camera in the mail, I'm sure. They're probably like all 5 of or 7 heaven or something because you know they did.
Yeah. again, if he really, really believes he is the innocent party in this, yeah, sure, he will put his kids through this, and then he will try to explain everything to them when he believes he will be acquitted. But I don't know how, if I would had been that devoted to my children as they claim they are. I mean, I would easily sit a year and a half in prison for my kids if I knew.
So the plea deal was 2 years in prison, 5 years plea deal. Now, I don't know if the 2 years in prison would have been subject to the good time behavior equation and all that kind of stuff. But, still, that's considering he's facing up to 40 years now. I can't imagine that he is feeling good about his ideas right now. But I am not him, so.
Yeah, but that's the issue I have with the holier than thou people that, they ick me out. And all of a sudden, we see them on a poster, this person has been arrested allegedly for committing heinous acts.
There's this whole part of there's this book that we were supposed to read. It's called a Bible, I think. I don't know. I'm new to this whole Christianity thing. It's called a Bible, I think. And there's
the Bible with the Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and there's this whole thing about like redemption and crap.
Yeah.
Now, you're supposed to it basically says that we're all fallen and junk and that we're all going to be kind of douchey to each other, but then like to forgive and, not to be perfect with sticks up our ass, but to,
As
try
Dave
to be
said,
better.
Yeah, Dave said he could have, with that plea deal, he could have been out with time served, learned his lesson, treated his kids better. Now he's risking not only him being in jail for a couple of decades, but his wife being put away for a couple of decades. What will happen to the kids? Into the system. And already adopted kids into the system. I mean, Jeebus Christ.
Yeah, and it's always these people again that make us normal Christians who aren't insane, look bad. It's it's always true.
Yeah, they make
do.
their own Bibles.
Some people do.
Mm.
Oh, these people. And why does
Motion
he has to
detectors
have
inside the house? I have a
Holy
cat. If I move within my house, he's on my feet. You don't need motion detectors. You need a cat.
I was about to say I have now 6 biological motion detectors in my house. Try to open a crinkly wrapper, anything.
Yeah, you have 2 cats, 1 dog, and 3 kids on you immediately.
You have more people on you than
Neighbors is putting on the porch light, and did I hear something? Is it a hard candy?
Is it a Nutty Buddy? Y'all, she has Nutty Buddies. It's an entire neighborhood event. Like, can a fluffy person just enjoy a snack? Suddenly, I'm on the bracket for the Fat Bear contest. I'm like, what the hell? How did I get? What?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't even win. Otis won again. Can't even eat
This
this.
is salted sticks. It's
Are they pretzels or?
It's kind of pretzels, but it's salt and bread.
Those are both food groups in my religion.
I didn't know the specifics of why you mentioned. Did you think at any point that he was being wild or energetic, anything like that? He was hyper. Did you?
Okay, full disclosure, when the boys were little, we have hotel locks on nearly every door, like the chain locks when they were high, because the boys have learned to undo deadbolts and everything, and they would get outside. And with this being a huge, ginormous house, they would get outside without me knowing. So we have the chain locks on the doors that when they go outside, because you know. But it's really again, this guy is nearly tearing up when all he had to do is just take the plea deal. He's like, no, I'm innocent.
Calm him down once he got going.
Yes.
Did you ever see your parents try to make efforts to calm him down with words?
Yes.
Yesterday, you said that he got in trouble and things would be taken away from him.
Yes.
Well, there were times you got in trouble with your parents, correct?
Yes.
And they would take things away from you, correct?
Yes.
Like your electronics, right?
Yes.
And you had an eye touch.
Did they
and that
lock
got
you up
taken
in a
away at some
cupboard?
point.
Yes.
Well, because the
And-
garage was taken.
Yeah.
You're aware would steal from inside the home.
Yes.
You're aware at some point he stole other people's credit cards.
Yes.
He in fact stole your money at one point.
Yes.
And you and your sister did not do the
Therapy.
same types of things, correct?
No.
Yeah. So what they're claiming is he has ADHD and reactive attachment disorder. Now, my sons have ADHD. I have ADHD. My husband has ADHD. Now, having looked at WebMD for reactive attachment disorder, none of these on WebMD, and I know Dr. Google is not the best, show locking in box as a treatment method.
Yeah. No. I don't think that is in the. No, I don't. No,
DSM-5 did not put box
No,
deadbolt.
I've been evaluated on a few occasions, but I don't have any letters, hardly even IQ. I mean, but I'm just a very secluded person who like distance but talking to people at the same time. So internet,
it's just
yay! I have a social life.
It really again, I know these type of people. He's the type of person that you will never shake him from his foundation of I was doing the right thing. So he could have
That's
been
the neighbor
given
you only invite over once.
Yeah. You see this haircut, that gel, the wrist rosary, and you're like, and we're not going to be friends. Especially when I go over with my Daria, the Saint of Sarcasm or Our Lady of Sarcasm t-shirt on our first meeting. And I'm like, oh, we're probably not going to be friends, are we?
Yeah, I can get over it.
You're aware that he was asked
Yeah, it just, he does have kind of a slap face,
to write
allegedly.
sentences at some point.
Yes.
And the sentence was
He
usually,
tries
"I will
way
not
too
steal,"
hard
correct?
to look like a good guy.
That's one of them.
Another one was,
He
"I will
has
not lie."
the I am concerned face.
It's almost pre-planned. I need to sit like this.
Yes. He practiced in the mirror. He asked his wife, "Do I look concerned and caring in this book?" Like, Or is this two
Talked
glamour
about
shots
the-
from
the house in
1980s?
Tucson. The address was it 4245 East Havasu Road?
Yes.
Do you remember what the layout of that house was?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, some kids are misdiagnosed with some letters that are simply too bright for their own good.
And that's what it sounds like with this kid. It sounds like he has an amazing mind, and like I said, he uses it for the dark side right now. He's gone total Sith Lord, which is terrible. But again, if all the attention he gets is negative attention, then you know, he really he needs therapy, and he needs a place where, you know, he's challenged, I think. And look, I'm not a psychologist. I'm just a redhead that talks on the internet. There are people with letters behind their name that know things. Take them to that. Take him to those kind of places. If he was truly a danger to himself, there are inpatient facilities that you can get a 72-hour hold and have that documented. So if this were to be something.
Yeah, but that, you have what we in Sweden called not gifted, but it's a special. It's about thinking and thinking abstract, high activity level, lower sleep needs, be extremely curious, and immeasurable in I need to learn new things because I'm not being taught enough.
Yes.
And these are the kids who are close to Mensa level, but can't deal with the in the box thing.
Yes. And that's why you should put him in a box. Nicholas, we've solved the problem.
Yeah, I mean,
you had IKEA right next to you, and all you had to do was just.
Yeah, and there are tests for that, and teachers in Sweden are being taught how to handle these kids, because there are a few in every year that are at that level that you simply can't control them because they are bored out of their skull if they sit down and have to learn ABCs.
Yes.
Because they already know it. They probably know the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s, up to abstract learning, but they're not challenged. And non-challenged, extremely bright kids will lash out because they are bored. I imagine folks when you were a teenager. We all did some stupid stuff, but then you had these kids who were stupid and did stupid things, but that was like, let's put my hand into a bee's nest. And then you had the bright kids who said, I wonder what I can do with this computer. And this seems to be the kid that I wonder what I can do with this computer.
Yeah, and this kid seems incredibly bright. And had they nurtured that instead of, I mean, and I don't know the full story. We don't know the full story. We're coming in and we're hearing bits and pieces.
Yeah.
And
but some kids needs more than thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, and I don't know, it kind of seems like these are the type of people that, you know, again, this goes back to a driving force in my life where we're failing boys in education because boys don't learn in the sit down lecture format that we have in most education systems. They learn kinetically, they learn hands-on. That's how boys learn.
Yeah.
So when you have this sit down lecture format, boys are are being diagnosed
mean-
with ADHD and all this other stuff much more.
Yeah, I mean, put them on YouTube in front of lectures by the Khan Academy. See if it works. I mean, yeah.
It's just it goes to a lot of different things. This trial touches on a lot of different things, and I think these parents, you sign a contract when you have a child or adopt a child, and it's almost unfathomable why they made the choices they made and why he didn't take the plea deal. I just don't get it.
No.
But
But then he's more interested in himself than his kids' well-being.
well, yeah. I mean, look at all the hair gel he used.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I am actually going to stop it right here since we've got about 10 minutes. And I've got to take Mr. Freibird out because he's dead asleep chasing something.
Yeah, and
we will-
I will try to get some sleep until tomorrow.
Good idea.
Yeah.
And then we will be back for tomorrow. We should be able to breeze through because we're cutting out lunch breaks and sidebars and all that fun stuff. So hopefully we'll be able to get through and work through this trial. It's supposed to be a week long. And then maybe Baker will have his faith restored in humanity and he'll join us for a little bit of it. Or he'll join me for Newsy News. He'll give up on trials altogether.
Yeah.
And he'll join me for Fat Bear Watch 2023. Thank you all for joining me. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. I will be here later on tonight at 7 for Newsy News and Mofession time because of course it's story time. And then it will be time for other people to talk. Later on, it's late in the evening. I don't go past 7. You know me. I will see you all later. Have a great day, and I will talk to you in the morning and at the evening. Bye.
Bye.